Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. It's the Film Threat Livecast. We are here today to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi. The first two episodes just premiered on Disney+. Also, we'll talk some more Tom Cruise and Top Gun Maverick and that new Thor Love and Thunder trailer. Lots to discuss. There are other movies that have opened today. We'll talk about those. Let's get things kicked off. Join us in the chat. Post your comments. We will get to those. I'm happy you're here with us today. It's gonna be a great show. Alan Ng is waiting in the wings, as always. Let's get going. Okay, I have to confess, I'm really exhausted right now. I saw Top Gun Maverick last night again for the second time. It's even better the second time. Recommend seeing it with a big... I haven't seen an audience like that clap so many times during the movie, just out of just sheer excitement. And what was really interesting was a lot of people I saw never saw the original film, didn't see the first Top Gun. So that was really encouraging. Also, Star Wars Celebration is happening. And if you can't go, everything's on the Star Wars YouTube channel. So kudos to them for televising all that stuff. That means I can hang in the hotel bar while I look at my phone at what's happening inside, because that's what I plan to do later today. So if you are going to be at Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim, California, I'll be there. The Marriott bar or the Hilton bar, probably both. I'm going to be going back and forth. But let's kick things off. We want to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi, which dropped last night. I think it was around 9 p.m. Disney Plus decided to drop it early, which I think is very smart. They put it out there early. Interestingly, Alan Ng and I got like these screener links right around the same time. They didn't send out screener links in advance like they did with Ms. Marvel. And Alan is here to talk to me about it today.
Hail, Chris. Hail, chat.
Wait, hail? Are you saying hail now?
Yeah, hail. Well, just better than just yo. What's up?
Oh, okay. All right.
But yeah, I got to see Kenobi episode 1 and 2 with my email plastered right in the center of the screen there.
You know, it was on Disney Plus, right? You know that, right?
I thought it was going to be like at 1 o'clock in the morning, so I went with the Disney debut screener app.
All right. Well, let's talk about it, because that's what everyone is going to want to discuss.
Yeah,
I think that the Disney Plus extensions of Marvel and Star Wars have been a bit rocky. I think that Mandalorian certainly has had great moments. I mean, I was all in on season 1. I thought it was great. I kind of fell off for a number of reasons. We will get back to that. But what I did like that they did was at the beginning of watching this is they did a little reminder, a little wrap up of episodes 1, 2, and 3, the highlights, the things you should know going into Kenobi. I thought that was
the prequels. You mean
the prequels? Yeah. And that little wrap up was the best part, and it was downhill from there. I really think that this show is not for kids, it's for children. This show is for children, in spite of the fact that someone gets their hand chopped off by Reva, a new character, a new and sure to be beloved character in the Star Wars universe. But look, I there's just so many logic lapses, and then also lapses, I think, in judgment. So I watched them back to back, and what sort of bummed me out was so many things just stood out as just cheap. The casting of Flea, as I'm not going to go into the story because there are other channels that do that better than I do. I'll tell you about like what I thought worked, what didn't work, and what worked is going to be a very short list. What didn't work is most of it, and no, I'm serious. I mean, we could go down the line.
You're forgetting the greatest thing about Kenobi is diversity and inclusion.
That's the best thing. That's the thing I like most.
That is what I've been wanting in a Star Wars story since I was a child.
Well, first of all, it's never enough. It's never enough. And that's the thing that makes Star Wars great, is what you just said. I'm gonna say it.
I mean, it's that slow buildup since A New Hope to now, and you see that progression, and you just realize how great this franchise is, and how greater it is now that Disney is running the show.
Well, let's get into it. One, Ewan McGregor is very good as this character. He's very good as Obi-Wan. You see the pain that you see the pain and suffering. What he was partially responsible for. Definitely responsible for the descent of the galaxy into authoritarian rule. Kind of has he had a hand in that. And you feel that. And then you have Benny Safdie playing a Jedi in hiding, and he's got sort of cheesy Star Trek: The Next Generation. Like whenever Star Trek: The Next Generation was lazy, and they would go like, I don't know, put a bridge on their nose, make their nose look weird. He has sort of these markings on him, on his face, and that's his character. And he is a Jedi in hiding who is I'm sorry, we're going to talk spoilers because I'm assuming if you're watching this, if you're watching this, you've seen it. Okay. If you haven't seen it yet, maybe I can save you 2 hours of your life.
Yeah. And we're only doing the first 2 episodes. So
we're only doing the first 2
There's more for you to love.
I don't know if we'll return and continue to discuss this. Unfortunately, I am curious to see the way that episode 2 ended. I'm curious to see what happens next. I'm just curious. Here's where the show just fell apart, was just like the lack of attention to detail in terms of things that connect. And then additionally, because all the things that connect that fans are like, I couldn't believe I'm flipping through Twitter and I'm seeing I'm crying because they were posting a photo of young Leia and older Leia and how much their outfits matched. That is lazy. That's not, I think people have begun to misuse the term Easter egg. An Easter egg is something that is hidden that you'll notice. Something that's sort of right there in your face is not really necessarily an Easter egg. But
and the idea is you have to hunt for it like an Easter egg.
Yeah, you have to hunt for it. It's like it's there right in front of your face and you don't notice it and whatever. And some stuff is just really obvious. But let's talk about the cast, because I feel like that's the weakest part. Flea as the abductor of Leia.
Mm-hmm.
What? That just stood out to me as look, truth be told, he was great in Back to the Future too. Flea. It was sort of funny that he was Marty's boss. But as a heavy in this, could we have just gone with someone who was just kind of an unknown or just a good character actor?
See, to me, it wasn't him. It was just this idea that how easy is it to kidnap a princess?
I guess it was super easy. They grabbed her, and let's talk about the actress. And look, these are child actors. Okay, I'm going to be kind, but I guess Alderaan does not have a very good dental plan. I'm being dead serious.
Oh my gosh.
The girl who, okay, you're laughing because it's true, right, Alan?
Yeah, but okay. What are you gonna do? That's her baby teeth. They're gonna fall out. You can't screw around with that stuff.
The actress they hire, either Alderaan has a terrible dental plan, and they could have even said, Bail Organa could have said, I have to go to the Senate because I plan to argue for better dental care for everyone on Alderaan. They could have made it present day, like the healthcare crisis in America. You know how we love present day references in our fantasy works? We love that, don't we? Yeah. I fucking hate it personally, but
I think he should have said the reason your teeth doesn't look like your mother and mine is because you're adopted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think Padme and Anakin had bad teeth, but the actress, the young actress, her teeth are so bad it was distracting. Am I wrong? People in the chat, we'll get to your comments. We've got Flaccid Phoenix with us today. Yeah. Well, he was with us on Wednesday. I'm not sure if I mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I watched it on my iPad, and so I didn't notice the teeth at all. So I'm not.
Okay, you watched it on your iPad. I watched it on my 4K TV.
Yeah,
it's how big is my TV?
And I think my email covered up her teeth too. My email address.
Well, there you go. Okay, but it was distractingly bad. Okay, they somehow found an actress that's worse than Jake Lloyd in episode 1. I'm looking at Jake Lloyd in episode 1 fondly going, okay, maybe he didn't do such a bad job compared to this young actress who is, she's just a kid. She's just a kid. I'm not trying to be unkind, but I'm pointing out that, one, she wasn't very good. She was supposed to be precocious. I mean, can they find young? It's really like a Haley Joel Osment, something like that. He was really great actor as a kid.
Yeah.
That has
he did audition for Anakin.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I think I'm right. I know that there are some high profile child actors, and for some reason, George Lucas went with Jake Lloyd. And I believe I may be wrong, but I believe Haley Joel was in that mix.
Yeah, well, look, I people are going to mock me in the chat for making fun of a kid's teeth. It was distracting. And Kumail Nanjiani, I'm disappointed. Okay, I'm disappointed. Kumail Nanjiani's in it. He's sort of pretending to be a fake Jedi to make money on the side off of innocent people, right? He's sort of like trying to get him off planet, and he's using fake Jedi powers, which is pretty funny. Is that your dog, Alan?
It is my cat. My cat slept in the studio last night.
Every time with you, it's a new animal.
Yeah,
I have no idea what's going on in the barnyard where you're live streaming from. I kid.
I mean, I'll say this about Kumail. I think the problem is he leaned too heavily into the comedic performance, and you watch. There was certainly humor in Star Wars, but it was never goofy, goofball, silly humor like this. And there are certain things that happen in Kenobi that is just so out of Star Wars style, cinematic style, and acting that just stands out. I mean, Reva, we could talk about that later, but I have a big issue with one aspect of her that just threw me out of, just made me go, this is not a good, well-defined character, well-developed character at all.
Right. And I'll tell you my problem with her. But first, let's talk about Kumail Nanjiani. I thought he was fine. He was fine. I actually really like him as an actor. Just in Eternals, I thought he was the most likable character. He was
probably the most memorable character.
Most memorable, interesting, whatever. I like Kumail. I'm incredibly disappointed that Kumail Nanjiani's character did not turn out to be Kitster from episode 1. Kitster was Anakin's childhood friend who was a little Indian boy. Go back and watch episode 1. Kitster is in there. Kitster in episode 1 goes to do a high five with little Greedo, and they miss, and they left it in the movie. I'm not joking. The pod race scene, go back and watch it. Kitster is the little boy, and he goes to do a high five and misses Greedo's high five, and they just left it in the film. Now, I happen to know, because I know people who worked on the prequels in the special effects department. Kitster was so bad. George Lucas thought Kitster was so bad that they actually had meetings and considered changing the character and putting an alien head on Kitster's head. I'm not making this up. This is absolutely true. Story told to me by people who worked on the films that George Lucas was kind of frustrated with this little kid's performance, and he didn't want to hurt the family's feelings, so he kept Kitster in the movie. Go back and watch episode 1, and specifically, and look, coming to Disney Plus very soon is Star Wars: A Kitster Story. That's coming. I know it's going to happen, but I think that's a huge missed opportunity to not have a grown-up Kitster, so that when Anakin went to Todd, and who knows, it may be revealed that Kumail Nanjiani is Kitster, but I feel like that's a huge missed opportunity. Huge missed opportunity with this thing. I look, the writing is cheesy Disney Channel writing. This isn't this is Disney Channel writing. I feel like the character of Reva, she's supposed to have weight and gravitas. She's clearly one of the children in the very beginning, right? Who escapes and is saved, right? The problem I have with Reva is her accent.
Yeah.
She sounds too earthbound. And if she is part of the Imperials, you'd think if this happens, people move to different countries or whatever, and they kind of take on an accent, right? Like if you live somewhere for a long enough time, you kind of pick up like, I have friends who are British who live in the United States, and they kind of lose their accent. They have more of an American, sort of hybrid American British accent.
Yeah.
Reva should have had a British accent and should have had more gravitas. And that's my critique of that character. Is this character is supposed to have a lot of weight, and I don't know, she just it didn't work.
Well, let me talk about that.
Yeah, please.
Her accent is clearly it's kind of an aggressive American accent in terms of trying to be tough.
Right.
And the problem is I don't feel the actress. I'm not going to blame the actress for this, but I don't feel like. Well, I'll blame the actress for this. I don't feel like she's comfortable with her characterization of Reva, and it's not coming out in her performance at all. And so it feels like she's acting, and that's, I could point out many times in Star Wars where someone was acting. This just feels like it. But the problem is this is a main character. This is our villain, and she's just not portraying the character right. I do appreciate the fact though that she's a woman and that she's a villain, and I think for some reason for the last several years we've not wanted to make women true villains, and I think it will say something if they keep her a villain throughout the entire series, because they always tend to make them good at the end or find some kind of redemption that has to do with toxic masculinity. I've got to just say I hand it to them for at least keeping her a villain at this point and making her the villain, making her a very aggressive villain. But yeah, the accent, she's just not comfortable with this character at all.
Well, the villain until, she'll be overshadowed, so to speak, by perhaps some other villains in this tale.
Well, Darth Vader, but
yeah, I don't know, just something about it felt cheap, and it felt, and all the stuff with young Leia was like Disney Channel, like a children's show, not a children's show where it's just like it works on different levels, right? Like it's like a show like, you can watch like The Simpsons and it's like it works for kids, but also works on a different level for adults, or many other shows, Pixar movies, they work on different levels. It just felt so cheap and like Disney. Like I don't know. I'm watching this going.
Yeah.
I felt dumb watching it, and I felt like, how am I? This is what Star Wars fandom has come to. Is this garbage? Like this is what they're passing off. And these other. I'm going to say this just like observationally, right? First 2 episodes directed by Deborah Chow. I'm going to assume maybe she directs the last 4. We can look it up on. Maybe that's on IMDb. Maybe it's not. You know what this needed? Male energy. It needed someone in the room, a guy to say, that's a fucking stupid idea. That's dumb. Don't do that. The audience is not going to believe it. That's stupid. And I feel like what it lacked was a male energy, like just a testosterone. Maybe it's just, why? Because I just got off seeing Top Gun Maverick. And then I watched these first 2 episodes, and it really contrasted with like Top Gun Maverick, Jerry Bruckheimer, Tom Cruise, very, very masculine. And look, and there's your share of female characters in that movie, and they're freaking badasses as well. Strongly recommend you see Top Gun Maverick twice this weekend if you can. But on the heels of watching that, I go and watch Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it just felt wimpy, and it felt like I don't know, it just felt cheap. And it felt like a children's show, and I felt stupid watching it. And I felt like this is the in-between story 10 years later after Obi-Wan fought Anakin and effectively left him to die, and burn alive.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think that this was, what I've seen so far, if the rest of the series is like this, I think it's going to be pretty lame.
Yeah.
I don't really expect much. I think it's going to be frustrating, and it's going to do what a lot of the Disney Star Wars. This is what Disney Star Wars has done to Star Wars. It has destroyed Star Wars. It has made it, in the words of, as I was scrolling through Twitter and looking at the Obi-Wan reactions, Gary Beekler Nerdrotic came up and he called it Star Wars. But on purpose, Star was. It really is. And I feel like it's just whatever this incarnation of Star Wars is, the Disney Star Wars, it's missing George Lucas's innovation. They try to do stuff like that. They'll have like a little creature scurrying or whatever, but George Lucas would do that in a unique way. Go back to Star Wars Episode 1, or Star Wars, excuse me, not Star Wars Episode 1, Star Wars Episode 4. Yeah. To me, that's Star Wars, okay? Not only are these like amazing designed robots inspired by Fritz Lang's Metropolis, talking about C-3PO, there are robots in the Jawa Sandcrawler, robots of aliens, meaning, like if you look, there's a robot that has a head that is an alien head. That's how deeply George Lucas thought about everything, every aspect, fetishized every aspect. How does everything function? How does the world building, like, how am I going to make this believable? Or as Robert Meyer Burnett says, verisimilitude, right? It's just, you make it believable. And there was just nothing in this that was interesting, enchanting, new. I don't know. It was just incredibly disappointing. And I don't know. And I was looking forward to this. I was like, I'm going to give it a chance. Yeah. I want to see it. But again, I think it contrasted with my seeing Top Gun Maverick. And you see this and you go like, this is made by committee content, put out by a giant studio, where I'm fairly certain that the people involved wanted to be more creative. And I do feel that like Jon Favreau had a little bit more that he could do with the Mandalorian, which made the Mandalorian like it's like just a little bit more male energy. And I feel like that's what this Star Wars is lacking. And also I think I'm not particularly impressed. I know Deborah Chow did some of the better episodes of the Mandalorian, but having seen that she did this, it's directed in a very pedestrian way.
Well, let me defend her just for a moment. She directed all 6 episodes, but she didn't write a single one of them.
Well,
so she's working with what's given to her. And let me talk about the writing. The writing is what I think failed the most in this. I'm okay with the plot and the storyline, the idea that Princess Leia gets kidnapped. Obi-Wan has to go and rescue her. That's not a bad idea, but it's, when you compare the dialogue of this show with the Star Wars series, the things that George Lucas wrote, every line, every scene did one of two things. It was like a deep dive, a kind of a contemplative look at the world around them, the Force and all that stuff, or it was some way to inform, this is the character, this is who Han Solo is, that's why he talks this way and says these things. And you get none of that in this. It just feels like the dialogue services the action on the screen, as opposed to saying something larger about the larger world that Star Wars is. And so, it's all, here's a scene where they confront the villagers in a bar, and the dialogue is about confronting the villagers in the bar, but it says nothing about the Jedi, what happened with the Jedi, where we are at this point. When Owen confronts Obi-Wan about not seeing, stay away from Luke, the dialogue is essentially saying, stay away from Luke, as opposed to kind of give this grand idea of why they're in this situation. And then also with Obi-Wan being in the desert for these many years, you would think that he's thought about things a lot and that he has some idea of what's going on and what's going to happen. But it's almost as if Obi-Wan had just dropped in there and just been moping around for 5-6 years. And so, it's doing nothing really to expand the lore of Star Wars, but more or less to service this narrative that's going on. And I think that's the worst thing that this series is doing, is it's wasting an opportunity and just telling a straightforward, go save Princess Leia's story. And with nothing to really elevate the lore that was Star Wars.
Well, and first of all, I completely agree with everything you just said. What it lacks is subtext.
Mm-hmm.
Where you deliver a line. I mean, go back and watch the original Star Wars trilogy. So many of those lines have weight and more meaning beneath what is just being said on the surface.
Right.
And everything in this show is what's on the surface. That's it. That's what's being said. And so do they somehow explain that, like, I mean, are they going to add a line, special edition sort of style to the original trilogy? Obi-Wan, yeah, you saved me when I was a kid. Do you remember when we hung out on that one planet and you saved me from Flea? I mean, you served my father in the Clone Wars. Well, a little more than that. You saved me once. I need you to save me again. This is just this. It's bad. It's bad. I can't, and I can't be the only one that thinks this. I mean,
I'll give you another point.
Sure.
You know, when Leia is with her cousin and he's being kind of a dick, you know, you would think that there'd be a teaching moment here, especially if this is a Disney Channel show.
Yeah.
You know, but it's more, you know, you shouldn't have done that. Apologize to your cousin, but you know, that was an opportunity to say something about the Force or say something about the culture of Star Wars at that time, and they just make it a soap opera drama at that point.
Yeah, it's just, we're going to get into it and we're going to get to your comments, but first we have over 350 people watching right now. I want to say thank you. If you have not been to the Film Threat YouTube channel, please give us a like on this video and subscribe. Actually, you know what? Slap that like button and slap the subscribe button. Oh, wow. That's what you got to do when you come here to the Film Threat YouTube channel. Let's I don't know, man. I really was, and I'm the eternal optimist. Okay, I'm like Luke in the original trilogy. I'm an optimist. I want stuff to be good. I'll even see a bad trailer and think, oh no, that could be good. I'll wait till I see it. There's certainly been plenty of great films that had bad trailers. I mean, the trailer for the first Star Wars movie, before it was the worst tagline. It said it's about a boy, a girl, and a galaxy. They didn't know how to market Star Wars because there wasn't really a solidified fandom at that time. But this is just the height of corporate filmmaking and towing a company line. I mean, one of the best action sequences. I mean, I just seeing Kenobi like punch guys. Wouldn't he have used the Force and kind of like force push them? I know.
Well, no, he didn't want to tip himself off. That
he didn't want to tip himself off that he was a Jedi. But you know, come on, you're in an alleyway. You're being jumped by some dudes. Like, take them out with, use your Force powers, right? Just use it.
Or at least find a way that if, you know, the idea of here's Obi-Wan in this position, he can't use the Force powers. So then what would Obi-Wan do? And I think it plays out just like a normal action scene instead of that.
I'm going to put a bumper sticker on my car that says, what would Obi-Wan do?
Yeah.
But
WWOWD.
Yeah, but Reva just had no weight. Her sort of very, very modern accent kind of took me out of it, right? She should have had a British
very American. That's very
the American.
American.
Yeah, like solidly. We're like, it doesn't work. It would be like if Luke had like a Valley Girl accent, right? In the original trilogy, that wouldn't have worked either, right? Like,
might have worked better.
A Jersey accent. Actually, George Lucas initially, he did not like Anthony Daniels doing the voice of C-3PO because he saw C-3PO as a used car salesman. He wanted him to be like this sort of used car salesman. It was Marshall Lucas that actually convinced George, like, no, like his voice is great, you know? And then you've got
the other thing is, you know, even Princess Leia had a very unusual accent. It was very much a blend of American and British.
Right.
And I kind of wish they had just instructed this little girl to, you know, realize you're going to grow up to be Carrie Fisher, you know, so, you know, you got to instill a little bit of that in your character. Even Ewan McGregor did that in episode 1, where he took on various traits of Alec Guinness to kind of say, okay, this is the direction we're leading.
Yeah, well, first of all, I hope she doesn't grow up to be Carrie Fisher because she'd be doing coke and
that's true,
drugs. And I don't know if you've read her book. It's she had quite a wild life. I love and admire Carrie Fisher. But you know, I think it's underestimated how important acting is in fantasy work like this in terms of buying the believability, right? Like, okay, the effects are fine. They're fine. It's Star Wars. It looks fine. It's easier to pull that off these days, right? It's like the effects are fine. Great. But I still need to believe in this universe. And just go back and watch in the original Star Wars trilogy, the scene where Obi-Wan just tells Luke what the Force is. All he does is tell him what the Force is. And it's a few lines of Alec Guinness delivering it. And it's delivered with such weight and gravitas. You're like, oh my God. Like, and also the Force is invisible, right? So to speak. It's out there. It's around us.
Plus he's microscopic.
Right, exactly. No, well, we find out later it's midichlorians in your blood, but the way that Alec Guinness describes it is you just believe it. And the characters in this, with the exception of Ewan McGregor, and I thought Joel Edgerton actually was very good as Uncle Owen.
Yeah, but his dialogue, again, the dialogue just doesn't do him any service.
But again, being stuck with that dialogue, and I know they talked about like, well, they're kind of, we need to scrap this and like kind of re-look at, like, Kenobi was in development for quite a while, and the biggest complaint was the writing. Maybe it wasn't that the writing was bad. I just think that like the creatives on high are the ones that are to blame for this. Really, you have to look at like bad decision making from the top and not respecting like the events in the original trilogy. How does this connect? Am I going to watch the prequels, watch Kenobi, and then watch episode 4 and it's all going to make sense? Will it make sense? No reference at all to, Kenobi and Anakin meeting again. The other funny thing, and this is even like in the original trilogy, it's not like the original trilogy is flawless. We're talking about it like it's some holy scriptures. When you take Darth Vader's helmet off in Return of the Jedi, he somehow has gotten a British accent. With the actor, God, I'm forgetting the name, Sebastian, something. Someone in the chat is berating me now and putting the name Sebastian Shaw I forget. Anyways, but that suddenly they take Luke Skywalker. The Emperor's defeated for now. They take off Vader's helmet and somehow he looks like Humpty Dumpty with a British accent. I always thought when I was a kid and saw it, I thought he kind of looks like Humpty Dumpty with like a cracked egg with the head scar. I don't know. So what?
I mean, I will say overall, I'm disappointed. I think to me the real judgment on this is when they introduce Darth Vader and the interaction between him and Obi-Wan. You gotta hope there's something there, and if there's not, then this is just a missed opportunity in the highest degree. And
it's a huge missed opportunity, and I really think that they need better writers. It really just comes down to the writers. You can do the effects, maybe get a casting director that's going to look more carefully at teeth. I think that's a critical thing. Or like I said, add a line. Bail Organa. I'm going to go to the Senate. I'm going to get dental care for everyone on Alderaan. I promise. I promise, Leia, I will fix your teeth.
And then the planet blows up.
Yeah. Well, we finally got to see Alderaan. I don't know what's the culture. It just looks like Naboo. I always thought Naboo should have been Alderaan. I always thought that episode 1 should have ended with the Gungans and the people of Naboo coming together, having defeated the Trade Federation. They should have come together in this ceremony and said, and to celebrate the uniting of our two people, we are renaming this planet of Naboo Alderaan.
Yeah, and then they do a nub dance.
That's how episode 1 should have ended. It would have been like, ooh, that would have been way more interesting than like that weird ball of light that Boss Nass is holding. Remember that ball of light?
But I think the point was they had to take Leia off the planet, and so they couldn't keep her there.
Oh, sure. Yeah, they come up with a reason for that. Before we go to the chat, we're going to get to your chat questions. There are over 400 people watching now. We thank you for that. That's high for us. Smash that like button. subscribe if you are not already subscribed to the channel. We have other reviews on here. If you look at our channel, we got reviews of Top Gun. We got reviews of just everything that's opening. Men.
Bob's Burgers.
Bob's Burgers, which is also out this Memorial Day weekend. So check
We'll
out
have Crimes of the Future up soon.
Yes, Crimes of the Future. We'll have that. We'll have that up. David Cronenberg's new movie. So all the movies opening this weekend, there are reviews and discussion of those films on this channel. So subscribe, but also support us and buy something. You can buy this shirt that I'm wearing. Alan, what's your shirt?
Go America.
Free to be indie. Mine is a Empire Strikes Back logo inspired Film Threat shirt, the Indie Strike Back, because that is our focus here at Film Threat, our independent films. And if you would like something for free, send me a self-addressed stamped envelope. I've been getting them constantly, and people are actually sending I have physical letters that people are sending that I might read some of these at some point. I'm collecting them. But send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Film Threat 5042 Wilshire Boulevard, PMB 1500, Los Angeles, California 90036. The more postage you put on it, the bigger the envelope. I'll send you DVDs that are lying around. I'll send you Film Threat stickers and a bunch of other stuff. And you can also support us by going to the Film Threat shop. Go to shop.filmthreat.com. All right, let's get to your comments.
Yeah, we have a lot of several super chats.
Okay, we're gonna get to it here. We're gonna get to it. I'm gonna start from the top, and we have Flaccid Phoenix modding today. We appreciate FP helping us out. Go to his channel, Flaccid Phoenix, and check out and subscribe to his channel. Great content there. Wilfredo Ferrofino, Reva's dialogue was terrible.
It was all terrible.
I think it was all terrible. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't want to just single her out. Her dialogue, just like all of it was just sort of, you can only do so much. And I feel like Ewan McGregor, like he's just a better actor. I'm sorry. He really is a movie actor surrounded by Disney Channel hired actors. Jose Contreras, Reva is such a terrible character so far with so much anger, no red eyes.
Jeff, I have to talk about diversity for just for a second.
Okay.
I don't know if this is conspiracy, but it's like there are plenty of great Black actresses out there who could do this role. There are a lot of, there's this assumption that diversity and they're giving bad performances. Well, there's people who can actually do it. I'm all for diversity. Look, there's a lot of white people in the first episode.
I think what you're talking about is something that's merit-based.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely merit-based.
And who is the better person, and hire that person for the job. That's it's always been my philosophy. Alan, how do you think you got here? Because you're
I thought it was
great.
I thought it was the Film Threat affirmative.
No, just read Alan's reviews on the website. The occasional typo, but you see typos in Newsweek these days. All right, let me get to the comments here. Okay. Jeff Brooks, I'm a technical guy. Can't stand how these Marvel and Disney Star Wars shows and movies are shot. Very flat and uninteresting cinematography. Jeff, that stood out to me too. It looked very what they call TV lighting. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's flat. Everything does look flat. It's like one light. There's no dynamism or no depth of field, which is what you expect when you see a movie, and that creates a vastness, right? Because it sort of it brings your eye, it makes you lean in to pay attention to certain things and adds some depth. There's no depth. It's very flat, uniform. Yeah,
also, I miss Tunisia. I miss them actually filming it on a desert. And there's a scene where there's like patches of greenery. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, isn't this a desert planet? I don't think there's supposed to be grass growing in the desert.
We'll see. I got to get through we have a lot of
go.
So let's blaze through as we continue the conversation. Patrick Lemire, tooth shaming. Yeah. I mean, you can even make like a tooth thing. I just thought they hired the wrong. She was too young. She was not great, and her teeth were bad. And it could have been explained. I'm gonna say it again. It could have been explained with a line. Bail Organa trying to get Alderaan dental care. Yeah. We love when modern problems are inserted into our fantasy. We love that when we get modern, messaging and things just woven organically into our fantasy. Everybody loves that. Don't you know that? Anyways, Patrick Lemire, thank you for your comment. Goober, Kumail's arc took like 2 minutes. Yeah, it was sort of over and done. Like That was it. And I was serious about my comment about having him be Kitster. That actually would have added a
That would
little
have
bit
been great,
more.
actually. That would have
That
been
would have
great.
been cool. Well, maybe they could still retcon
Yeah,
that.
that could have been his different name.
There you go. Cubicle Media. Hi guys. Was it just me, but the chase scene with Ben and Leia slower than the orange peel mouthguard Vito chasing his grandson? Oh my God! Great reference to the first Godfather there.
There you go.
Yeah, it was just dumb. Like, okay, so I mean, like, look. Also, I've had kids that age, and when they're that age, they're really. If you're not catching them, it's because I'm not trying to catch them. I'm trying to play a game.
Yeah.
Because like. And at a certain point, even with my son, I'd play video games with him. I'd let him win. And then after a while, he just kicked my ass. Because
I never let my kid win. I'm sorry.
The only games I can beat my son at are like sports games. That's sports video games. So there you go. More comments here. Girthy guitarist. Reva doesn't match the other Inquisitors. No yellow eyes. Interesting look, etc. Her acting was terrible. I agree. I just thought she was weak as compared to other better actors that she was surrounded with. You want to cast up around your leads. If someone even has a line, and this is important. There are a lot of directors. I've had conversations with filmmaker friends of mine. Even the most small character that has a simple line, you really want to cast a good character actor. I know we have.
I do like the idea of the character that she's kind of a hothead and willing to go worse than the Empire at this point.
Yeah.
But the dialogue does her no service.
Okay, and Buford T. Justice for $9.99. Thank you for your super chat. Another straight white male destroyed on the altar of woke. Name a single white male Star Wars character that hasn't in some way been minimized or altogether destroyed. Unfortunately, I cannot dispute what you're saying. So read into that what you will. I cannot dispute your comment. Yeah. But how do we know Obi-Wan is straight? He's shown no interest in women at all or any sort of attachment, right? So what I'm saying is another opportunity to ruin another Star Wars character.
Well, there's still Wedge. I mean,
yeah, there's still Wedge. Hold
Yeah.
out for Wedge. You think he's called Wedge? I think he's called Wedge for a reason. And that's where, like, I need a little. We don't have a soundboard here at Film Thread. All I have is a 30-second dance party. DCG for DCGCA for $6.99 says, what I hated the most was how easy it was for a barely 3-foot person to evade adults. And that scene where the bounty hunter runs into a branch. Yeah, they're just like a lot of things that were like, that just seemed like cheap. Like, oh, that's a cool idea. Like, it seemed like a TV writer, like a very competent TV writer trying to finish it on a deadline. And not really thinking more deeply about it.
Well, remember, she slid under the branch to get away, and then that's when he ran into it. But then they immediately caught her after that. So
hey, for $4.99, thank you for that. Hi, Alan and Chris. Episode 1 and 2 of Obi-Wan was a pleasure to watch. Saw it at Star Wars Celebration last night with the cast and crew. So good to have quality Star Wars back. Are you being sarcastic? Look, if you look, context matters. Okay. I watched episode 1 and 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi after I had seen Top Gun, an objectively great film. You're going to love Top Gun. I can't wait for more people to see it so we can discuss it more, but that matters. Okay. So you were at Star Wars Celebration. I will see you tonight because I am going to be at Star Wars Celebration tonight at the hotel bar. I'm going to walk in the hall for a second. And then I'm probably just going to walk right out.
I think she brings up a point, though, is she saw it with fans and the cast of crew. She was in a full theater.
She was in a
full theater. While you and I were at home watching it.
Exactly. Yeah. You watch it on your iPad. I watched it on my TV. Context matters. And when you're seeing it in that kind of environment, I'll bet it was a lot of fun. And thank you for the $4.99. That's great. Let's see. Kevin Rubio. I want an on-camera rebuttal. You guys are allowing hate to cloud your judgment. What? An on-camera rebuttal? Maybe. Think about it. I just think it's hard to defend this show, especially when I see the comments. The comments on Twitter are like, "I was crying."
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that I think the plot of the series so far falls in line with Star Wars. It's
Mhm.
I just couldn't get past why I was not being I wasn't drawn or engaged with the dialogue at all.
Right.
And you start thinking back about what Lucas did with the prequels, with the original series, and you realize there's a huge difference there.
Yeah. Well, look, I just think that there's just so many little decisions. It's not like with some things I can watch and go, okay, I'm being nitpicky. I'm going to overlook, a bunch of stuff. I'm not being nitpicky. This show is like across the board, just seems like a series of, I just didn't work for me. All right. Beg for mercy.
Okay.
They could not have had Luke talk at all in the first episode. Reva is more unlikable than Captain Marvel. I don't know about unlikable, but just doesn't work as a character. Matthew A. Koba, which one so far is better, Kenobi or Ms. Marvel? Alan, I'll let you take that one.
Oh gosh, that's a tough one. I think they're both just as good.
You mean in terms of their level of quality? They just
I mean, if you're making me choose between the two, I mean, I am sort of interested in Ms. Marvel's grandmother and her appearance. I'm also interested in when Darth Vader appears and the interaction there. So I'm going to give both series another. I'm going to see where it goes before making an ultimate decision on it.
Yeah. I don't know. I Ms. Marvel, I won't finish. I will continue to watch Kenobi just because I want to see Hayden Christensen. I want to him to have some sort of, because he was criticized. People forget when episode 2 came out, he was kind of criticized as being kind of whiny, right?
Yeah.
I think was kind of the character. I think he did much better in Revenge of the Sith. He was coming into his own, but he was criticized initially. And this is for him, he only got to wear the Darth Vader costume in 2 scenes at the end of Revenge of the Sith. And I think this, for Hayden Christensen, this is like a redemption of, hey, I'm going to show Darth Vader at his height, him being a badass. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So
speaking of bad dialogue, I mean, I'll say the courtship of Anakin and Padme is cringeworthy. It is the worst thing. It shows me that George Lucas hadn't dated in a very long time.
Right.
So I'm not saying that Lucas was the greatest dialogue writer, but at least it had meaning for the story.
Planet 628, I cringe at the contemporary American dialogue they inject. Also, kid wearing a green hoodie in the Andor trailer really felt off. I have not seen the Andor trailer.
Yeah,
I have not seen. I'm told the Andor trailer looks decent, but I have not seen it yet. I will check it out.
I like it.
Okay.
As a trailer, the trailer did a good job selling the series.
Okay, and Paulie from Latino Slant, who texted me 600 times yesterday. I love you, Paulie. As I'm trying to finish up work and get to my weekend. Come on, man. Paulie, who I'm going to see tonight. I'm going to see you, Paulie, from Latino Slant. I'm going to see you tonight at the hotel bar. But she was pretty balanced in her Mandalorian directed episodes. Don't agree there, Chris. Okay, the Mandalorian directed episodes, there was more going on. I feel like these episodes were, the first 2 episodes of Kenobi were pretty they were just sort of TV, this generic TV. It doesn't seem like it was done by the same director.
Yeah. And again, she didn't write any of them. So
also, when
she did what she did with what she was given.
Also, when it comes to these big spectacle special effects type things, you don't know how much of an input the director has. I mean, to me, the best moment, best at least special effects sort of grand moment was Reva jumping like Batman on rooftops. That was Deborah Chow showing off. And I'm not saying she's a bad director. I'm saying she probably wasn't allowed to do much in these first 2 episodes. And there you go. Now, Strugen says, looks like Chris has forgotten that the Force is female now. I want to wear a shirt that says the Force is male. I just want to wear it. Girthy guitarist replying to Latino Slant says Deborah Chow had Favreau as a producer on Mando. Thank you for pointing that out, Girthy guitarist. Okay. The producers here are Kathleen Kennedy and Michelle Rejwan. So agree. It's when you got Favreau, that's what I'm saying about more male energy. That's what Star Wars is lacking. Fine, you can have a balance, but Star Wars mostly appeals to boys and men. Mostly. That doesn't mean there are a lot of Star Wars female fans. Don't get me wrong. But it started as, and will remain, at least for me, boys and men like Star Wars. It's just like there are not a lot of fans of trying to think of what's a big female, like Barbie. Okay, Barbie, the doll. No, what else? The Real Housewives of name a city. Like, I'm sure they have a small percentage of male fans, but those are for those. That's programming for women. Okay, that's a brand for women. And what they've been trying to do, and Kathleen Kennedy said it in this latest Vanity Fair things. How does she make Star Wars appeal to girls? Well, you just don't. You just make it appeal to everyone. And if they're female fans, great. But just sort of change it like that, it hasn't worked. Max One Up says, it feels like all of these Star Wars series are focused way too heavily on fan service and making you remember the most surface level things from the past movies. Yeah, like, look at this. Leia's wearing this green jacket that's kind of like the green jacket Leia wears on the forest moon of Endor. It's not Endor.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to build credibility, saying, "Hey, look, we made this connection. Now buy our story."
Well, member berries are lazy to me. I appreciate you pointing out.
Archangel Music, you have to tell a good story.
Exactly. Archangel Music says, you could tell in the first 5 minutes that Black woman was going to kill the Inquisitor leader. Disney is all about being politically correct, showing a Black woman in charge.
Yeah, I think that would have happened regardless of who played that character.
Yeah, I think based on what the character was, doesn't matter that she was a Black woman per se, just that the way that they set that character up. I just wish I would have believed it more. I think they needed, I think really it had to do with the accent threw me off. Like, it felt too present day.
It was 100% the accent. It felt like it didn't belong. It was that cognitive dissonance. It didn't feel like it belonged there.
Yeah. VDR, hit the like button with force. Thank you for that, VDR. Patrick Lemire, then George undoes it with midichlorians. Marsha would have slapped that down. I think he resented her shooting down his bad ideas. Patrick, I think you're exactly right. If you read much of what Marsha Lucas has said, her and Gary Kurtz were the ones saying, that's not a great idea. Let's not use that. And there exists a rough assembly of the very first Star Wars movie, which feels a lot like the prequels. I've seen like some of the scenes that they cut out of the original Star Wars. There's a black and white, what they call an answer print, which is when you edit the movie in black and white, back when it was film, before video, they would get like, because you didn't want to spend money on color films, so you'd get black and white, and then you would cut the movie together with your black and white. And there exists a black and white rough assembly of Star Wars, which is nearly 3 hours long, the first one, and it feels very much in tone like the prequels. And a lot of things you're looking at, like Marsha Lucas cutting frames off just to like kill bad jokes that George wanted to put into the very first Star Wars. The sound of one man laughing. I was so busy watching Alan's Friend on Nerdrotic from Wednesday, I forgot to get in here with you guys. Well, there you go. Alan's Friend on Nerdrotic from Wednesday. Wait. Oh, yeah, I think that's me. Wait, what? Jeff Brooks, Vader tells Obi-Wan, when I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. So they forgot their Disney Plus duels in between. That's going to be a big problem. I think they're going to try to shoehorn in some real bad line that will stand out to explain that. General Zod for $5. First of all, I kneel before your $5, General Zod. He asked Leia how old she was. Who writes this junk?
Yeah, so we're talking 6, 7, maybe.
Well, it's supposed to be 10 years later, so she seems small for 10 years old.
Yeah. Well, even the little kid sitting on top of the house pretending he was in a pod racer seemed
that was dumb. And seeing, I don't know. I think the kid they cast for Luke is.
They can't connect at all. Obi-Wan and Luke can't connect at all in this series. So
we'll see. No, actually, no. Like, he's aware of Ben Kenobi,
right? The creepy guy who looks at him off at the distance. Yeah,
right. Exactly. Jesper Christensen. Biggest problem for me with the show is that they, for ones, should have made it for fans who grew up with the prequels, who are adults now. Yeah, it's too much for children. It seems like they should have really made it more for fans of the prequels, which I respect, and I recommend a movie called The Prequels Strike Back. Watch that documentary. It's about someone, a kid from Texas who grew up watching the prequels, loved them as a kid, then got access to the internet as a teenager and saw that people hated the prequels and wanted to find out why. Really, really, really fun documentary. I recommend you check out. Bethel Games. Hi, guys. Did I miss something important? Where can I make a bad joke so that it would be read by Chiss? Well, I just read that. So there you go. Redman, how and why does Reva know Anakin is Vader? I've yet to hear a logical answer from anyone. Lore shattering stuff, and Disney fans don't care. You're right. Like, how exactly? It's interesting. Didn't he just become Darth Vader? Shouldn't he have kept his identity as Anakin Skywalker a secret? Yeah. How does Reva know that? It's lazy. Well, you know why Reva doesn't know? Why Reva knows is because the writers don't know this. The writers. Redman, you're thinking more deeply, I think, than the writers who wrote this show, who didn't logically lay this stuff out.
Christian, okay, I'll tell you my theory. She's working directly with Vader. I think that's the sense I got out of this, is that because she is kind of the rebel in the group with the Inquisitor, that she must have a direct connection with Vader, and that's probably why she knows that fact.
Cool. We have a lot of chats here. We're gonna get through them and all the super chats too, and the comments that are the standout comments. We're gonna get to those. Christian Hernandez. I thought the first 2 episodes were terrible, but I thought the girl who played Leia was good, especially compared to every Inquisitor, Kumail, and other side characters. You may be saying that in jest.
Yeah, I'll tell you, my daughter liked her.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
Well, that's a discussion for another time, Alan.
Yeah.
The chief, 1893. OMG. Why the hell did the third sister not have to look like the rest of the Inquisitors? The Inquisitors all have that gray look, but they can't cover up her face. Tired of this crap. DCG for $6.99. DCGCA. I think it would have been easy to bend down slightly under the branch instead of running directly into it. It wasn't that obstructing. So there you go. Those Leia chase scenes were super cringe, says DCGCA for $2.79. That's an odd amount. $2.79. Is there some deeper meaning there? Is there a droid that was in the prequels called 279? BT 279? Protocol droid? Pressure secured? All right. That's my robot voice. I am doing robot voice. Turo for $10. Thank you, Turo. Appreciate that. I'm older and find myself watching films right the way I used to watch Tom Hatton, the guy that hosted the Popeye show.
Tom Hatton.
He wasn't the star his content was, but he made it enjoyable and personal. Thanks. Tom Hatton. I don't know that. Tom Hatton.
You don't know? Oh, he every Sunday morning, he for 3 or 4 hours, he would basically host the Popeye show all these cartoons, and he was a great artist too, and so he taught us how to draw Popeye. And all the other characters.
Never seen it.
It's an LA thing. It's an LA thing.
Oh, it's an LA thing. Oh, interesting. Yeah. So should we draw? Should we do a drink and draw? Yeah. You ever heard of a drink and draw where a bunch of artists get together in a bar and they just sit there and draw and drink? And it's a very social thing. I've been to I don't draw, just to be clear, but I do the other thing. CC says, I love Hayden and Ewan, but I hate seeing Reva placed alongside their characters as if she would ever be as important as Vader or Kenobi. Well, she is. So there you go. I just think, again, I feel like they really should have workshopped that character more. There's just, Ewan put so much into it. When you look at, like, he doesn't just have the accent. He has Alec Guinness's accent. Okay. Ewan McGregor talking separate from that. He puts on this affect that he is Obi-Wan Kenobi as done by Alec Guinness. It's so well done. And that's to me was, when I was very critical of the prequels when they came out, they have since aged better for me. And I look back on them fondly. But boy, like Ewan McGregor was the standout. I mean, really. Krishna Mangal says, Alan's friend, the new name for Chris, or Chiss if you prefer. Ben the Creeper says tertiary adjunct and brilliant writers, Ewan McGregor. Wait, was he quoted as saying that, Stephen Mack?
He probably was.
Stephen Mack says brilliant writers. I don't know. But Ewan McGregor is a producer on this show. So what this needed was a Jon Favreau to say, that's a stupid idea. We're not going to do that. We're going to cast. I mean, this is the one thing with The Mandalorian. There are a lot of really good actors that were side characters in The Mandalorian. Carl Weathers, Gina Carano. I hope when I go to Star Wars Celebration later today that I see some people with Welcome to the Rebellion t-shirts, or some people dressed as Gina Carano's character. That would be great. I would love that. Yeah. Ferd Turgeson, Obi-Wan, nostalgia can't save you from awful casting and lazy writing. Too many convenient events to continue the plot. 1 minute I'm hopeful for it, the next is total cringe. That's how I felt watching it. It was like, oh, that's a cool opening scene, right? Where it's a throwback to the prequels, like, this is the purge, so to speak, and the Jedi purge, and to kind of start with that, it's like, oh, okay, I'm encouraged. And then Obi-Wan is sort of this down and out, like, I'm just doing, you know what? I do odd jobs. I'll fix your electricity, come in and do the plumbing. He has odd jobs.
Well, he cuts desert fish, basically.
Yeah, cuts desert. It's weird. So then it's like, it's sort of weird. It's like, yeah, some stuff was good. And then it's just thrown off by just something that's just so horrible. So there you go. Infinite Main. I'm running behind, but I think Hayden is a decent actor. I do as well. There's a movie that he did right after. I don't know. Maybe it was like between. Anyways, it was right around when he was doing the prequels. He did a movie called Shattered Glass, and he's very good in that. He plays it's based on a true story about a journalist who faked almost all of his stories.
Yeah.
Like he sort of had this meteoric rise as a journalist. Then he come to find out he was a total fraud. Hayden Christensen is fantastic in that film.
Even Life as a House. I must have seen Life as a House maybe 10, 12 times.
Yeah. Yeah. Hayden, Hayden is good. Beowulf's Revenge. Why did she kill the Inquisitor leader? That was really messed up. Okay, the Inquisitors are evil, but they're still a team, and Vader would be pissed if they just started to kill each other.
Unless he sent her.
Yes.
And then apparently the Grand Inquisitor dies differently in Disney Rebels, which I've never seen. So.
Oh, wait. Kevin Rubio says, hey, gotta go. But Rob and I will be hanging out at the hotel bar next to the Anaheim Convention Center Saturday. See you there? ? Maybe. I don't know if I'll be there Saturday, Kevin. I am going tonight.
I'll try to stop by tonight.
All right, Alan, I'll see you there. Yeah. If you see me around there, come say hi. I'll bring some Film Threat stickers to anyone who says hi.
Yeah. If you want to, I guess it's most like the Hilton you'll be at.
Or the Marriott. You never know. Flaccid Phoenix says, is Kermit in a coffin behind Alan? Wait, is that a coffin?
It's actually the box he came in, but that's a photo replica that's a photo doll of Kermit. So it's life size and bendable and posable.
Look, first of all, I love that Alan is in his daughter's pink room. But people are not watching our channel for our backgrounds. I know I need some work. I got to throw some backlighting back there. I have to arrange things a little better. If I showed you the space I'm doing this in, it's kind of taking the one corner that I've got a little bit of space. Best I can do. Flaccid Phoenix will work on it. I could work on it here. Sobravir para cantarla. Sobravir para cantarla. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. As we're responding to VDR and says, yeah, that's what we were saying in the chat, that as teenagers, we liked the romance between Anakin and Padme. Perhaps we grew up with soap operas. Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, even George Lucas said what it was based on, right? Like the Star Wars movies are based on old serials from the 1930s, and all the acting in that was cheesy. Everything was very melodramatic. I think he was trying to be melodramatic and have the romance be very it's very much like it's not an adult romance. It's like what a kid would think a romance is. And so
did you like the romance between the two of them?
No, I thought it was cheesy. I thought it was cheesy.
Yeah, I mean, granted, yeah, we were full-grown adults at that time.
And it was just like, okay, this is bad. But I don't know, man, that final act, the third act of episode 2, is how episode 1 should have started. Just with badassery from Jedi fighting and like just massive, like I was waiting to see that, for decades. I was waiting to see something like that. Right. the third act of episode 2 is when it kicks in. Then when you realize, like, oh my God, the clones are all the stormtroopers are clones, the Clone Wars. Like, it all sort of came together in that third act. But yeah.
Plus, we grew up watching a brother make out with his sister. So,
no, there you go. We got to do that. Marius C. It's fun to see Obi-Wan working on deepening the knowledge of the Force to get closer to Yoda's example, make Inquisitors having aspiration to become one of the top of the rule of the two break Jedi, in my opinion. Interesting.
By the way, did you get a sense that we might see a blue Qui-Gon Jinn at some point?
I don't think Liam Neeson would do it. I don't think he would do it. Maybe his voice
wouldn't take long.
His voice, you just get a sound alike and you pay Liam Neeson a residual. That's how that works.
Or you get him in front of a green screen for 30 minutes. I mean,
I don't know. He's too busy making another Taken movie, for a movie that's exactly like Taken called Tooken. So this guy for $5, thank you for that. My friend is deciding to host a Kenobi watch party rather than coming to RRR Encore with me. Talk about bad decisions. Hey, I'll be there June 1st at the Lemley in Pasadena on Colorado Boulevard. I'll be there June 1st for the 7 p.m. show of RRR. See you there. It's next Wednesday. So there you go. Bethel Games says, guys, why do you expect that Disney is going to make a good Star Wars that treats the male right or good? You have either the right attitude or not, and Disney doesn't have it, and it will not change. I know, but I'm hopeful. Again, this is why I think The Mandalorian is, at least to me, the best Disney Plus series, because I feel that Jon Favreau at least has the cojones to kind of keep Kathleen Kennedy at a distance and to make it more for male fans of Star Wars, and not to say that they're not female fans, but just like it has, there's more of a male energy to that show. Dave T. Geek, one of the biggest challenges of writing Star Wars is parsing what citizens of Star Wars would know about the events of the movies versus what we know. Writers forget Star Wars has old school communication. Yeah. And the other thing I missed, this is a small thing, but I'm going to point it out. The profound lack of wipes.
Yeah.
One of the sort of things that was a part of Star Wars, a trope, if you will, is that in the original Star Wars trilogy and in the prequels, you had those wipes, right? The wipes are a callback to old movie serials like Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers. They used to do those wipes that made it more comic booky. And they don't do that. They kind of even forgot it in the sequel films. They barely used it and just forgot. I mean, I feel like they were just like recutting and cutting stuff so often. I mean, George Lucas put a lot of thought into everything. We wipe from this and that. And if you go into detail and read like something like the secret history of Star Wars, how much thought went into every aspect of it. There's a reason that each of those movies took 3 years in between, right? They weren't trying to rush them out just to fill a quota.
See, this is something that they could have done in the dialogue, is to give us an idea of what has happened. What has the Empire, Darth Vader, the Emperor been doing to the universe, the galaxy at this time? Right. And fill us in on this. But they just assume that we know, and that they're just the bad guys and everyone's afraid of them. There's no, I just want a little bit of history, an idea of where we are, context. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, there needs to be context, maybe even like I think this is the weakness of The Force Awakens, is the opening crawl. Go back and look at the opening crawl of Star Wars. You know what's going on. There's the rebels and there's the evil empire. There you go.
Well, yeah, Rise of Skywalker was doomed right at the opening crawl.
Yes. The dead speak. Oh my God. It was so bad. No, maybe this could have used an opening crawl just to explain context. Obi-Wan that would have, it would have explained so much, Dino's reviews. My apologies. When she was talking about Vader and Anakin, it was mirroring Return of the Jedi when Vader read Luke's mind about Leia. I think that's where she might have gotten the information that Anakin is Vader. That's a good theory, but until they tell me,
it's
just a theory. It's just a theory. Wait, I got to get to Orville Nation for your Thank you for your $5 super chat. Kenobi should not be this broken. Not a good start, in my opinion. Good to catch you guys live. Thank you, Orville Nation. I assume you're a fan of the Orville. I also am a fan of this show. And Dino's reviews, again, for $4.49 of, are those euros or?
It's pounds. I believe it's
pounds. Okay. Forgive me.
Look,
I'm new to this. I'm new to this. I thought
we don't know money.
I thought it was good, not great. But one problem I have is Obi-Wan should have been a film, not a TV show, and it shows with the editing. Yeah, you're right. This could have been a movie. It could have been a movie. And then because the TV show, you're going to have like episodes that are inconsequential. You've got 6 50-minute episodes, or they're 48 minutes or whatever they ended up being. Yeah. So there you go. Fletcher Williams says Alan wants actual context and history. The goal. And sobre beber para contarla. I took Spanish in college. Please. That was a long time ago. I don't think any true fan, female or male, is happy with what they've done. I love Luke so much, and the prequels tried to mock him. We don't need Mary Sue's or male-looking women warrior saviors. And I'm going to assume, based on your profile picture, you may be a woman. I don't know. You don't know these days, and so maybe you're right. Yeah, I mean, a true fan, like, yeah, you're looking at it going like, why can't we just build up? Like, can't we just have like Leia was like, there are not enough strong female characters in Star Wars. I got one for you, Princess Leia, and she's the first person, the first major character we see in Star Wars. In the first movie is Leia, and she's the badass from the beginning.
And she's a woman.
She's not a damsel in distress.
And she's a woman.
Yes, but she's not emasculating Han and Luke. She's just like, she thinks, oh, these guys are like, all right, they're great. They're all, I don't know. How could you not make you have your first meeting, we're going to make the sequel to Star Wars, we're going to make the sequels. What is the number one thing you put on a whiteboard of like what has to happen in the movie? Han, Luke, and Leia have to have a moment where they reunite. And if you're going to do Han Solo's death scene, you better have people that he knows there, not just Chewbacca, to be able to have that death scene with. I did a video. I didn't do that. Well, I'm in the video. If you look up Chris Gore Film Courage, I did a video where I talk about how important it is when legacy characters die in a film, and the right way to do it and the wrong way to do it. And I compare the scene of Spock's death from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, where who is there at the moment of his death? The person he loved most in life, his friend, platonic friend. Just got to point that out.
They weren't lovers.
No, but there's a lot of fanfic that would say otherwise. So at the moment of his death, Scotty's there, Dr. McCoy is there, Captain Kirk is there, and through that glass, in an act of self-sacrifice, Spock saves the ship, saves everyone, saves the Enterprise, and that's when he dies. And he's surrounded by his friend. Then there's a funeral scene. It's somber. It's like the character Spock, who for decades we have loved and been a fan of. That's how a legacy character that has fans should go out. Not like Han Solo stuck in the chest from his son with a lightsaber, surrounded by Rey, who met him a couple days ago at best, who's a super fan of Han Solo, General Solo, and has, oh God, don't get me started. Anyway, look up that video on Film Courage if you want. I go on a much longer discussion of that. And just to follow up, sobre beber para contarla. Oh, please forgive me. Yes, I am a woman, and I hate the Force is female. Not true. The Force is the Force. It doesn't need female representation, even less perfect Mary Sue's. Your Spanish is great. Well, como se dice, I love your comment, en español. Maybe you can tell me. But thank you for that. Yeah, like the Force should be, I you know what? And I'm not going to say this very often. The Force should have no gender, right? Genderless. There's no the Force is a spirit. It's not male or female. It's just the Force. We can talk about you can have a gender conversation all day. When it comes to spirits, I don't really think that because they have a lack of genitalia, they're not. I don't think the Force is female or male. Although if I do see the Force is male T-shirt at Star Wars Celebration, I will buy that shirt. I'm gonna buy that shirt.
Just hanging the flames there.
Comments.
Hey, I want to bring up a comment.
Sure.
But the question here, you can make a strong female character, and Rose says he mentions Ahsoka Tano. They're making a series. The question is, how are they going to screw up Ahsoka Tano?
Well, yes. Yes, Marius C. You can make a strong female characters, just give them a chance to go through the hero's journey to earn it. It's that simple. Sorry for my lack of knowledge. How is Ahsoka doing it at the time of this? Yeah, we don't know.
I believe she appears. Does she appear in this?
My guess is that you're going to see some legacy characters appear. Because they're going to have to. They're doing an Ahsoka show, which tells me she's going to have some type of cameo in this.
In fact, I do believe she is in the series.
Excuse me. The chat is on fire, so I think we're just going to stick with discussion of Obi-Wan. We were going to talk about Top Gun today, and Makadama for $5. Thank you for that. Top Gun Maverick is a film that Disney doesn't know how to or want to make. 100%. Hollywood doesn't know how to. Tom Cruise, who is a legitimate star, that movie is a popcorn blockbuster. I plan to see it for a third time. It's a blast at the theater. It's got tons of male energy. And you know who likes male energy? Women like male energy. They do. Just gonna straight up tell me if I'm wrong about that in the chat. Women like male energy. Look at the popularity. Marvel would not be as popular among women if it weren't for shirtless Avengers. It's a trope of a Marvel movie. Everyone from Doctor Strange to Ant-Man, they all have to take their shirts off at some point and show beefcake, right? That's I think what really made a lot of female fans of Marvel. And in fact, on this channel, if you look, just look up topless Avengers. If you look up topless Avengers, we did 2 of these video montages of all the scenes where characters get topless in Marvel movies. I think phase 1 and 2. We got to get phase 3 there. But yeah, Top Gun Maverick is a film Disney doesn't know how to or want to make. Top Gun 2 took me back to how movies were an adventure. Yeah, movies were fun. And Hollywood is sort of missing. They're just sort of missing it. Solomon Thornton, when Spock died in Wrath of Khan, it was heartfelt. It should have been like this for Han, Luke, and Leia. Yeah, the way each of those characters passed on was insulting. It was. I can't imagine a kid. Like, let's say you're a parent, you have kids, you're making them watch Star Wars, and there is sort of, what do they call the machete way that you watch Star Wars? Is that what it is? You watch episode 4 and 5, then you watch episode 1, 2, and 3, then 6. So it's 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6. That's what I'm told is the way. But can you imagine, like, you've watched all the Star Wars movies. I heard they made sequels, Mom and Dad. Can I watch the sequels? And then you see the fate of these characters. Like, there's nothing wrong with like flying the Millennium Falcon off into the sunset or into the, a star wipe or whatever. Like, just like a character can just go off and we can imagine other adventures. But if we know it's all leading to, like, Han Solo gets stabbed in the chest, like you finished watching Return of the Jedi and then you start watching Force Awakens and you're hour 15 into it or more, and Han Solo gets it in the chest. It's terrible. Dempsey says Ahsoka should have been the female Jedi in the sequels. She actually earned all of the skills and powers on screen through training and trial and error. Yeah, the whole point is, like, characters that are your lead characters, they have to suffer. They have to go through pain. Look at the first Indiana Jones film which is called Raiders of the Lost Ark. I know they've tried to rebrand it as Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. That movie's called Raiders of the Lost Ark. I know because I have DVDs that say that when the movie starts.
Yeah, and when I watched it in the theater, it was called Raiders of the
Lost Ark. So Indiana Jones in that movie loses at every turn. He's just, with the exception of shooting the guy with the sword, he's just losing at every turn. And even though he gets the ark, it's taken from him, and he spends the last part of the movie tied up to a pole, just saying, "Close your eyes," right?
Like he defeats the Nazis tied up to a pole.
Yeah, well, he doesn't even defeat them. The point is he loses constantly, and that's how we really love that character. And I want to speak a little bit about people are like, I want to identify with that character. I want to identify with this person. I need to see someone who looks like me. And can I just tell you something? I don't care. I care about a character that I can relate to based on their values and the virtues that they espouse. I'll give you a couple examples. Ripley in Alien. First, she's the smartest one, and in Aliens as well. She's the smartest one. There are a lot of great characters that are just, I don't look like them and don't give a shit. It doesn't matter to me, because the whole point of fiction, I want to say this right now, whole point of all things fiction, books, comic books, movies, video games, is that you empathize with the lead character and you have some empathy, and fiction allows us to see the world through someone else's eyes. And if you only can relate to people who look like you, you're a fucking narcissist. Okay? And we're living at a time where we're surrounded by a lot of people who have taken narcissism to a whole new thing where I only want to see things where I see people who look just like me. Well, that's stupid and small-minded. And that attitude needs to go away, because we would all benefit from being able to identify with characters who don't look like us. I, for one, my favorite character in all of Star Wars, I mean, if I have to put Luke Skywalker aside, my favorite character is Yoda. I don't look like Yoda at all. I'm not green. I'm a little taller than Yoda. And I don't even know what the fuck Yoda is. Do we even know what species Yoda is? Have they ever said it? I don't think they've ever said it. That's why everybody says Baby Yoda. Nobody calls Grogu Grogu. They call Baby Yoda, because that's what he is, Baby Yoda. Justice for Yaddle, folks. We know there was shenanigans. Yoda and Yaddle had something going on. We all know it, but no one wants to say it out loud. You know, Yaddle, look up Yaddle. Episode 1, Jedi Council, sat there very quietly, didn't say a thing. We know Yoda and Yaddle had a thing. Post in the chat. I want to know if people agree with me on that. But the point is I identify with Yoda because he is smaller, underestimated. He has like a maybe quiet wisdom about him. He doesn't walk with a big stick necessarily. And I feel like I identify with that. I feel like in my life and things that I have done and tried to achieve, whether it's I've written books, I do this channel, I've done a lot of things I've done I never did before. And I feel like I've always been like someone as a person who's been underestimated. You could never do that, Gore. And then I'll go off and go, I've never written a book before. I think I'm just going to try and write a book. And I do it. And I kind of like identify with like Yoda's like sort of quiet, like, wisdom about things, and his, I don't know. I love Yoda. I have a jacket. I'll be wearing it today when I go to Star Wars Celebration, maybe for the last time, that has like this, it's a t-shirt that's all tattered, and I punk rock style safety pinned it to the back of this military jacket. It's just Yoda. And I love that. I love the message of who Yoda is. I don't fucking look like Yoda. Okay. And I didn't have feathered hair as a kid. I did after I saw Star Wars. I went and I got a feathered haircut like Luke Skywalker, because, a lot of kids did that after. But the point is that you learn something by your ability to empathize with someone who does not look like you and see the world through their eyes. That's how we learn. That is how we learn about life. And it's very
I will say, though, once in a while, I'd like to see someone who does look like me up on the screen. There really wasn't an Asian in Star Wars until Newt Gunray came along.
You're kidding.
I've had my fair share of watching white people on my film and my TV quite a bit. But to your point, I will tell you this. I think the television show that exemplified the Asian experience the most was Everybody Loves Raymond. And there wasn't a single Asian on that show, but I related to that family and to the things that were going on in that family.
Well, yeah, I related to a show no one is going to remember. If you do remember it, please post in the chat. What's Happening?
Yeah.
What's Happening? I love that show because, first of all, Rerun was funny. Okay. By the way, this is a sitcom from the 70s about a black family. And the lead character wore glasses and was kind of a nerd. He was black. And he was my favorite. I love that show because he was a nerd. He always wanted to do the right thing. What was the character's name? Raj? Anyways, I love that show. I didn't look like those characters, but I identified with the kid with the glasses who was kind of nerdy, maybe a little misfit within his group of friends, but always was trying to do the right thing.
I think we connected with it because it was a lower class family. It was a positive portrayal of a lower class family, and there was a lot of us lower class people out there.
Well, lower middle class for sure, but I will say I love that show growing up. I never missed it. Always watched it as a kid. Haven't seen it recently. I should go back and wonder if there was ever like a reunion for that show. But I also grew up watching a lot of Toho monster movies. Johnny Sacco and his giant robot. There's plenty of Asian representation. When I was growing up, I mean, I watched Ultraman, Johnny Sacco and his giant robot. I watched everything Toho.
Well, even Speed Racer and
Speed Racer,
Battle of the Planets,
Kimba the White Lion. A lot of us identify with animals. The Lion King, or when you look at a lot of movies that have like funny animals. You identify with something that's within them, not what they look like physically. So it's a ridiculous when you hear that. I don't know. Anyways, I'm sorry, I'm going off. I'm annoyed that this constantly comes up, and it's from a place of stupid. And I want to popularize something else. Mm-hmm. I want to popularize that your ability to identify with someone who does not look like you says more about you than your inability to, or your desire to only identify with people who look like you. I think that is small-minded, and we need to go away from that and look at and make characters just that we can relate to, or at least admire or empathize with. And Star Wars was already doing that.
Yeah.
So Viper Chief 117, Chris needs to find his Mandalorian to protect him. Yes, I'm a baby Yoda. And goes on to say, Chris looks like a white baby Yoda. Yes. And you know what? Maybe they'll do Black Yoda. Maybe they'll do a Black Yoda. If they did something like that, it would be really stupid. Yoda's green. No one cares about this stuff except the people that constantly want to use those corporate buzzwords. And you know the words I'm talking about. I think that it's just become something ingrained where people feel like people in Hollywood can't have a fucking conversation without including those words. And it's irritating. Jeff Brooks, one of my biggest frustrations with the prequels was the concept that technology went from hologram touchscreens to CRT PVM monitors in 20 years. George clearly didn't have this planned out very well. Yeah, possible. Yeah, I did. It doesn't bug me as much, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Luke's right hand. Hey, Luke's right hand. Also, Yoda doesn't speak much, but when he does, it's normally profound. Less is more, less wordy words, and more importance of the content.
I mean, that's the whole point of the dialogue of the show. There's none of that. It's all.
And Flaccid Phoenix says, "Hey, let's get the likes to 350. Slap that like button. Yeah, slap it. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe, please."
Oh, wow.
And you know what? Listen to this guy.
Humans, why are you not reading Film Threat magazine? You filthy humans, you should know your place, and your place is to be reading this magazine. Yes?
So there you go. Listen to Caesar. Caesar knows what's up. So let's thank you, Flaccid Phoenix, for that comment. Slap it. Let's get to 350 here. Gribbly, I've liked Yoda less and less. Nothing that he says seems convincingly wise. The Hollywood scriptwriter's pastiche of mysticism that comes out of his mouth just makes me cringe. Yeah, I would say in the Disney era, I think Yoda, I don't know, but I don't know, like I like Yoda in the Star Wars prequels and the puppet Yoda. They replaced him, right? I have a standard def DVD of Episode 1 that has Yoda as a puppet. They since changed him they did a digital version, and there's a really interesting documentary on, I think, the Episode 2 disc where they talk about doing the digital Yoda. Sobre Bibir para contarla says they called everyone sexist, racist, etc. for not liking what they did, but I bet you can't find people who despised Arcane, and that's because it is a well-written masterpiece. True, and I don't like this thing of like calling you a name because you don't like a thing. I've explained why this character Reva doesn't work, and I feel that she just doesn't fit with the Imperials, which we've learned all have British accents, which kind of contributes to their being evil, right? And I felt like she should have had a British accent and maybe just hired an actress that has a bit more gravitas. Dave T. Geek says they put ducks of color into DuckTales. Are you kidding me? That's stupid. This guy,
a lot of ducks out there, a lot of different ducks.
Cosby, Fresh Prince, etc. were great because they were about people first with universal qualities who happen to be black. I agree. What's happening? I just loved. I love Rod. First of all, with his nerdy glasses, because I was teased for wearing glasses when I was a kid. Because I think I started wearing glasses when I was like 8, 9 years old, and and like people get guy 4 eyes, whatever. Okay. You get teased when you wear glasses. Maybe it holds you back a bit when it comes to sports. It helped me read the chalkboard. But, I identified with him because he was the nerdy kid who was always trying to do the right thing. That was really the big message, my takeaway from what's happening, and why I liked that show, because it really was a morality tale and about values. So Hank VP, Chris stole David Lynch's hairstyle, or did he steal mine? Actually, no, I think David Lynch. I didn't steal it. It's just, this is what my hair turned into. I got silver hair when I was 19, my first silver hair I noticed. And then it just sort of like, more like, I don't know. A lot of people have this kind of hair. Viper Chief 117. Can we have a rainbow Baby Yoda next? Lol. Yeah. I just think trying to add modern references into, that's kind of the thing that threw me off from Reva's character, is a very American accent, and it just doesn't work for me. There you go. Kevin Orde says the Asian heroes I grew up with were Bruce Lee, Sammo Hung, and Jackie Chan. How many white kids did you know that knocked themselves silly with nunchucks? Hey, first of all, Kevin, I love that. Bruce Lee, I loved as a kid. I mean, Enter the Dragon is an epic. It's just a great story. Then Game of Death was, remember seeing it on late night television, which was so cheesy. How they is because he died during the making of that, but he has that great fight. He's got the yellow tracksuit. Has that great fight with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and they have that height difference. He takes him on, and then they sort of put his face, like a still of his face, onto the actor. It didn't work, but I love those. You didn't have those Asian heroes, Alan?
No, I did, but they kind of ended in the 80s. This is a broader discussion we can have.
Okay, we'll save it.
We'll save it for another time. But
okay,
I can go off on Asians in television, in American.
There you go. Dada Debaser, have you watched Mad God yet? And is it any good? I have watched Mad God.
Yes,
it's freaking amazing. And by the way, Mad God is an animated movie that Phil Tippett, who worked on the original Star Wars films, did a lot of the stop motion animation. It's a stop motion animated movie that he's been working on for 30 years on and off, and it's finished. It's currently on Shudder. We're trying to get Phil Tippett.
No, actually, it comes to Shudder on June 16th.
Okay, June 16th. Sorry. Comes to Shudder on June 16th. And by the way, we're trying to get Phil Tippett on the show. I know we've had guests before here. We're trying to get Phil Tippett on the show to talk to you. So that's why you need to subscribe to this channel. Okay. So it's it's freaking weird. It's one of those things where it's like you're in another galaxy and you have no idea what's going on. it doesn't stop to tell you what's happening. If I recall, because I saw it a while ago. I don't think there's any dialogue in it, like none.
There's no dialogue. Yeah.
There's no dialogue. So it's weird. And I hope we get Phil Tippett on the show. So thank you for your comment. Ganyorana, Alan, I started The Lincoln Lawyer after you mentioned it, and I agree. It's fantastic. Such well done characters. You actually care that they pull through.
I mean, I was literally sold on that show in the first 10 minutes. And I'll credit Paulie for he was talking about it on his show, Latino Slant. And that's the only reason why I started watching the show.
Nice. Fletcher Williams says, Enter the Dragon was Asian James Bond. I agree. That final scene with all the mirrors. Oh, so good. Shauna Bass for $20. Thank you for that. I am a woman and I want male energy in my media. There's a reason why women went in droves to see Aquaman and it wasn't the story. I also want female presence, of course, but that doesn't mean cutting men out entirely. Shauna, could you, if you tweeted that, you would just be attacked. Like, women are attracted to male energy, and also men, we like a good, strong female. There's a reason Princess Leia is popular, but to diminish characters, I think, is a mistake. Long ago, Chris is speaking simple truth.
I'll just say, there was a time where we celebrated this difference in dynamic between men and women, and that there were things that men offered to the table, that women offered to the table, and how it all worked together in a beautiful way. And we've done away with that. We've said that that's sexist, and we can't have it in our storytelling anymore.
Yeah. Viper Chief 117 says, yes, but we can't have a shirtless Jane Foster scene. Yeah, that's weird. They don't do that. I think there is definitely an effort in Hollywood, or an understanding that you don't want to sexualize women in movies anymore. That is certainly true of Marvel and Disney. Women are not sexual objects. It's okay for men to be sexual objects. Check out that new Thor Love and Thunder trailer. They just strip Thor naked. And then all the women faint. I'm assuming what they're implying is Thor has a big hammer, but I feel like it's you. I don't care. I actually don't care that attractive men are objectified in entertainment. I don't care. But can we be equal? Do we really want to be equal? Do we want progress or revenge? Do we want to take all women in movies and just desexualize them and just make that's not part of what femininity is, part of, I don't know. Like, I just, when you look at Black Widow and the way she was introduced in the MCU, she had like tight bodysuit. It was awesome. And there's that famous, it's like a meme or whatever of like, she sort of turns around and walks and you see like everyone on the set, including the women, going like, oh, wow, Scarlett Johansson. There you go.
Well, I mentioned it last week, but in 2022, I believe we have seen more penises on screen than we have boobs.
We were just talking about this. We should do a whole 2 hours on penis. And we have seen in the last year more male full frontal nudity than female. To me, I'm all for equality, and I actually don't care. The movie Men had a lot of penis.
Yeah, there's a lot of penis.
It's actually part of the story. There's a naked man. There's a naked man outside the house. The naked man is inside the house. With Jesse Buckley trying to fight back. But just make it even. How about even equality? Do you really want equality or not? Eddie De Jesus says for $5, thank you for that. Flashback of Order 66 was the best. That young Jedi protecting the younglings was badass. I like that as well.
Yeah,
that was the opening scene.
It was like, wow, they started this movie, the TV series off great with that.
Yeah.
And
Sober Vivir para Cantarlas also says, of course we can have strong female characters. They already exist. Katniss Everdeen, protagonist from Miyazaki, a lot of examples from anime. Disney just wrote them badly. Yeah, like, and I will say from anime, and then also if you've not seen this, you probably have Attack on Titan. Attack on that is I have actually the live action movies. There are 2 live action movies. I didn't get into the anime for some reason, and they're just equally male, female, strong characters building this force to fight back against these titans, right? Like it's great, and nobody cares. There's equally strong male and females. Hank VP with I'm assuming that's a reference to my good friend John Schnepp, who passed away in 2018. Still think about John every day. Hank VP says the Force is sweaty. 100% agree. Dave T Geek says women have interest in stories that particularly interest men, but men have little interest in stories that particularly interest women. That's interesting. I never thought about it that way. Think about that for a second. So women have interest in stories that particularly interest men, right? So women like those things, but men have little interest in stories that particularly interest women. So like, yeah, stories that interest women, like, yeah, I'm not, yeah, I'm not yes, I can confirm that from the.
You're not a sociologist.
Yes. And let's see, Marius C says, OMG, the comments are killing me. Love them. What, are you getting killed in the comments, Marius?
No, I think it's, yeah.
Solomon Thornton, Macho Man, Chris Gore, do you dig it? Yes, I do. Flaccid Phoenix, responding to Zach, says, the only biologist I know is Alan. And I like the movie Maverick with Mel Gibson. Maverick, that's right. There is a movie called Maverick.
Right.
Mel Gibson says Archangel music. Kevin Ord says, remember when a little movie called 300 was over huge with female viewers? Talk about male energy. Yeah, women are attracted to male energy. And that is undeniable. And it's also biology. So I don't understand why there is an effort to diminish male characters in film. It's 100% there, and it is unwise. I believe it's unwise. Webb for $4.99. Thank you. I thought Obi was good. The Leia chase was very Disney, and I hated it. I think the third Inquisitor will turn good to help Obi, and Disney ruined Star Wars. Can't agree with you more. Long ago says Flat Thor. There you go. Patrick Lemire says that's the curse of streaming things that would have been a good 2-hour movie end up being a lame 8-episode season. Yeah. There you go.
You give yourself a chance to put scenes out there that don't mean anything and will bore an audience.
Yeah, exactly. Viper Chief 117 says, I like the first episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi, but the second episode was where it fell apart. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they kind of blended to me because I just watched them back to back. Dave T Geek says ethnic representation done well is a nice thing. Here's when it's done well: when you don't notice it and don't care. It's just there, but when you point it out, it's almost the same as someone giving money to a large organization as a way to draw attention to themselves, right? It's like when you say, look at the good thing we did. Like, that's not how that should work. You should just do the good thing and not point it out. Or it just is there and no one cares. And I guess I grew up at a time where it just was there and we never talked about it. It was never discussed because no one cared. And now I do think that most of this is an effort to divide people in this country. And I push back against any of that. Whenever I see friends or people like I just don't like this thing that divides people. I think it is ultimately bad for us. It is a modern form of segregation and it is terrible. And I don't support anything that leans into that. I do not support it.
Do you remember when they race swapped Nick Fury and how everyone thought it was the most brilliant idea? And it was.
Well, but nobody cared about
the
it.
role.
It was not about race. It was about Sam Jackson.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson.
His swagger, his attitude.
Samuel Jackson. He was Nick Fury. No one cared when that happened. Did anyone care? Like, I'm trying to remember. And I'm of the understanding that they also changed in the comics, but also who cares? I mean,
and they based the comic book off of Sam Jackson in the first place.
Dino's Reviews says Marion from Raiders of the Lost Ark is another great female character, but I wonder if Disney will ignore that and say their Indiana Jones female character is a first.
Ooh.
Well, they want to say like everything is this is the first time. They've been saying about Reva, like this is the first time a black person has been in Star Wars. And then someone has like this big thing of like all the black characters that have been in Star Wars previous, including a character named Janna from Rise of Skywalker. and there have been a lot of Black characters in Star Wars. So someone did like this sort of collage of all of them. Like, that this is like, it's been around.
Yeah.
Qui-Gon showed up in Clone Wars. He leads Yoda to learn how to become a Force ghost. There you go. Turo says, Alan making all the funnies today. Classic Alan. Oh, yeah. Let's just say this. I've been around Alan enough to know Alan can be funny. Sometimes when he's not trying. If you go on the Film Threat Instagram, there's a clip of Alan and I at Award This. If you've not seen our annual award show called Award This, it's on the channel. Strongly recommend you check it out as alternatives to watching Obi-Wan Kenobi. You'll find a bunch of indie movies that you could check out. But I posted on our Instagram, Alan, hey, we're at Award This. And he's like, oh.
Yeah, you literally walk up and go, "Hey, we're doing a video." Boom.
That's what you do. That's why you're the improv master. Alaning, one of the performers at the National Comedy Theater in San Diego. Go check him out there.
I'll be there second week of June.
Beowulf's Revenge. Anakin was very sheltered. He would have had pretty bad social skills. Padme was also kind of sheltered, having been a queen at such a young age. It's interesting. The Chief, 1893, says, Film Threat is a new hope. Zax says, there seemed to be some whiteface going on. Whiteface going on where? Oh, with the Inquisitor? I don't know. Okay. Yeah. I think you're making a joke there. You caught me. Fletcher Williams, Alan wants actual context and history. The Gaul. George Anderson, the intro was so bad, the Grand Inquisitor legit asked a random guy if he knew who they were, legit just told us who they were, didn't show us anything to introduce the Inquisitors. Yeah, they needed to, add some context. Marius Z says, do you think Obi-Wan will have a chance for redemption for failing Anakin in his eyes? I'd love to see General Kenobi in action too. I think that's the whole purpose of this, and I think that it's going to fall short. If Disney Star Wars has taught us anything, don't underestimate their ability to fuck up Star Wars.
Yeah. Plus, Vader doesn't redeem himself until Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, exactly. So, just look at the movie Solo. Look at The Rise of Skywalker, which was the finale, right? These are things that I think have dissatisfied and fractured fandom in some ways, unfortunately. Wait, did I get to that? Sorry about that. Dempsey, even if they weren't there for his death, Luke should have felt Han's death, as should have Leia, both being Force sensitive. You are 100% correct, Dempsey. They should have felt his death. There should have been something more to it. Planet 628, the only actor who worked after doing Megaforce was, I remember Megaforce. Was that Megaforce?
Was that Brian Tochi or was that?
Yeah, it was the Asian actor who played every Asian role in the 80s. He played Donovan's cameraman in V. That's funny. Yeah, Viper Chief 117. There was a bunch of women in my theater for Aquaman when I went to see it in theaters myself, more so than would normally be there for a comic book film. Yeah, that's because Jason Momoa, when he comes on screen, women's vaginas explode. That's a fact. You can look it up. Fact check true. Viper Chief 117. I'm pretty sure there is some women that might like a shirtless Jane Foster scene. Yeah, there are a lot these days. Why not? Jeff Brooks, for Disney to call Star Wars fans sexist proves they are full of crap and don't know any true fans. Everyone loved Leia from the moment she appeared on screen. Yeah, I don't remember that. I just remember people really liking Leia when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, they just liked her. And you know what I remember? I remember people liking Lando Calrissian as a kid. He was a badass. Viper Chief 117. I honestly wish that Obi-Wan Kenobi would have been a live action film rather than a TV series. It's cool seeing both Ewan and Hayden back in the franchise though. Yeah, that's the only thing that's going to keep me watching. I mean, I'm not going to Ms. Marvel. We watched the first 2 episodes. I'm out. But yeah, unfortunately, we're going to wrap things up here at the top of the hour. So we're going to go another 5 minutes or so, but we really appreciate you sticking with us. We're going to get through some of these great chat questions. We got a couple super chats that came in late. I promise I get to those. CC, nobody cared about Harvey Dent being race swapped in the 1989 Batman because we all know Lando would have been dope as Two-Face. Mm-hmm. I agree. I remember no one talking about that. Like, it was just like, oh, he's Harvey Dent. But it's like, because Billy D. Williams can pull it off. It's not about his race, his color. It's not about his color. It's about that it's fucking Billy D. Williams.
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, there has to be, African American actresses who could have done Reva, better.
Yeah. Viper Chief 117, Hollywood really likes hiring individuals who don't seem to care about the properties that they are creating. Unfortunately, I agree. Tumbleweed prequels should be rarely done because they most often take away from the original IP magic. Some things should just be left a mystery. I 100% agree with that, because when you over-explain stuff, I mean, we saw that with the midichlorians and whatnot, you over-explain something, it ruins the audience's ability to use their own imagination. And to me, I think part of the disappointment of the prequels, which wasn't the prequels' fault necessarily, is that I had imagined like what that would have been. Same thing with the Star Wars sequels. In my brain, I had made up stories that were better than the story that Disney ended up creating. Unfortunately, the last scene of episode 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi looked like it came from the Vader fan film. Actually, the Vader fan film was better.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed with that. I was excited to see him, but I was disappointed with
it. Was like, oh, this doesn't even look like. That's where you need like more of a George Lucas or more male energy. Jeff Brooks, movie deaths used to have an emotional pull and some consequence, but with Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars, no one dies or stays dead. Two Rivers, thank you for your 20 euros there. I watched Star Trek The Next Generation all my childhood. Heard a review, said Geordi was black, and I had a frame shift like, holy hell, he was black. I just remembered the engineer-based guy. Hate that they're making me notice this bull now. Yeah, it's weird. Like, I just like Geordi LaForge. I mean, the whole thing was he was blind, and Geordi was actually named after a fan of Star Trek who had a disability. And Gene Roddenberry, this was a tribute to that fan. And love Geordi LaForge as a character, right? He was also Kunta Kinte in Roots.
Also Reading Rainbow.
Exactly. I watched Roots as a kid, and he was amazed, like Kunta Kinte, like that. Like, that's the whole. I wonder if Roots holds up now. I wonder if it does. I don't know.
I believe they remade it.
I'm sure it's awful. NJ, is it NJ Scoundrel for $10 or New Jersey Scoundrel for $10? Chris, the first time I saw you on FNT, you were a lefty. Given the direction the left has taken this country politically, economically, and culturally in the past 5 years, have you rethought your beliefs? First of all, not a lefty. I am very middle of the road politically speaking. I have voted on both sides of the aisle. I have voted on both sides of the aisle, if truth be told. And I vote for the party that is the least crazy. So during the 90s, I voted Democrat quite a bit because I did not like the way that the religious right treated gay people. I didn't like a lot of what they were doing. I didn't like a lot of the censorship or attempted censorship of music. Didn't like what they were doing. Things have changed. The pendulum has swung, but my politics have been very middle of the road on stuff. So when you saw me on FNT, I don't think I think I've always said my politics are very middle of the road. I think that Gary Beekler is the same way. I even think the Quartering has said that very middle of the road politically. I've always just like, I'll vote for this person. I'll vote for this. My vote is not tied to a party. I'm not owned by any party. I don't toe the party line. I look at whose values, and I look at also our current situation in the country and what we need at this moment. Right. And so, thank you for your super chat. But I'm very much, I would say very much liberal on certain things, but then very conservative when it comes to other things. When it comes to upbringing of kids, when it comes to any issues related to kids, very conservative. Very conservative. When it comes to you're an adult and you want to live your life free, whatever you want to do, I'm very liberal when it comes to those kinds of things. I don't like to talk about politics too often on this channel. I will on other channels occasionally. I prefer to talk about entertainment. But that is, so there you go. I hope that answers your question. I think if you watch the award this ceremony, here's how you'll get like where I stand, right? Watch the award this live event 2022. It's on the channel. We debuted it on Monday. You're going to be introduced to 73 different movies, and they're all over the map. There's a short film called ASMR for White Liberals. That's a comedy, really funny. There's a movie called The Boys in Red Hats about the Covington school kids and Nick Sandman and how he was treated by CNN, including all of his friends from that school, how they were mischaracterized. And there's movies, we have an LGBT category where a movie is nominated called Roadhead. It's a gay horror film. So, and Film Threat, and I'll say this, is a politically agnostic media outlet. And I can't say that that's true for most of the people that are my colleagues in the media. Most of the people, I'm not going to name any sites by name, but a lot of websites tend to lean one direction politically, to the point where they won't even cover things that are conservative. You know, we've covered, what are some of the documentaries we've covered that are, you know, on the left and the right? The problem I have with a lot of political documentaries these days is they tend to be very much propaganda for one side or the other. There are very few middle of the road, or just like, let's just look at the facts and see where it leads us. Yeah. I would say that the best documentary made about Donald Trump is a documentary made by a British filmmaker called The Accidental President. Doesn't take a side, doesn't say Trump is a scumbag, but also doesn't say he's the greatest human to ever walk the earth. And he interviews people on both the left and the right about his meteoric rise in politics and how he became president. And it's a fascinating documentary, and I encourage you to check it out. But I hope that offers some perspective on where I stand. I like to judge things. I judge things at face value, and I'm very excited. You know, I have people in my family who are not white. I have people in my family who are not straight. My uncle who inspired me to move out to California from the Midwest in Michigan happened to be a decorated Vietnam War veteran who came out as gay later in life and wished that they had legalized marijuana. And I don't talk too personally, but my politics are very much in the middle. But I will vote for the party that is the least crazy. And I think it's very clear now that there is one party that is fucking batshit that I can't jump on board with. And there you go. So, you know, I will probably be part of what I see as a pendulum swinging for another direction that is necessary. I think balance is important. Some serious comments here from people. Viper Chief 117 says, Chris likes some good Roadhead. Roadhead is a movie, which I strongly encourage you to check out. It's a gay horror film. Dempsey, character archetypes and character arcs last. Politics do not age well most of the time. There are the few that can last, like Red Dawn, but that is because of the characters, not the politics. There you go. Nate Winchester, politics becomes dated faster than disco. Film and art and talking about them lasts far longer. Agreed. Turo, Alan is left. Chris is not left. But I still like Alan. Alan, I actually don't think that you're.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever talked about it. You talked about the evangelical movement. I was an evangelical in the 80s, and I was very much a righty, a conservative. And when I came out supporting gay marriage back when Prop 8 came out, that's when I got basically kicked out of the evangelical movement. And from there, you know, my viewpoint definitely falls in the middle there. And, you know, what I like about what we do at Film Threat is, you know, it's not that we don't review political films, but we review every political film. And I like having everything I believe challenged constantly, because it just makes my viewpoint stronger than it either changes my mind or it makes what I believe stronger. And I think that's the point of debate. And I think that's the healthiest way to do this.
Yes. At the worst, you can broaden your horizons and look at something from a different point of view. And I think that that's important to do that. Or as Gen X, my generation, said, question everything, don't label me. And now we have a generation that's like, question nothing your government does, do what you're told, support the current thing, and here are my labels. Let me list them for you. Yeah. And I'm not about that. I'm not about that.
I was just gonna say, when I came out basically stating that the evangelical movement, what they were doing to the gay community was against, you know, what they believed in, God, the Bible.
I felt that too.
I took so much heat for that. And it just, you know, it changed my my professional life radically at that point.
Well, yeah, I 100% agree, Alan. We'll get through these. We've got some more comments here. We're going to get through them and wrap up shortly, but there's some really good comments here. Alan is left. Chris is not left, but I still like Alan. He's open to other opinions. Gary was a lefty, but doesn't like what it's become and has moved to Texas. People change, attitudes change. I agree, but I would consider that someone told me I was this and I had to look it up. So please excuse me for a second. They said Chris is based. And if you know what based is, I'm just based in common sense. I believe in common sense, simple things. I believe in common sense when it comes to almost everything. Your common fucking sense, which I guess is based. So there you go. Look that up. Kenny Kanthak says, I give my allegiance to no one. This is a quote from Boba Fett. Good one, Viper. Jeff Brooks says, okay, boomer, lol. Question everything, believe nothing, says Internet Rec Room. Viper Chief 117, pretty sure Lando is one of the individuals who helped blow up the Death Star. So that statement of him just hitting on Leia isn't true. 2 rivers for two euros. Irish didn't see the other shows with LeVar Burton. Oh, okay. Wait, that's I think a follow-up to a comment. He says, I'm Irish. TNG was my main American cultural reference. Yeah, I'm part Irish as well. So there you go.
I am not.
Willem for $2. Thank you for that. When hate is popular, they'll sell that too. I just see it as there are forces that are trying to wind up people to hate other people. Whether it be people that are on the other side of the political aisle, you should hate them. Or whether it's someone who is interested or not interested in particular medical procedures, I'm going to hate those people that oppose the thing that I'm going to hate them. And they deserve something terrible to happen to them. I don't agree with that. I think that we should, if there's one thing that this country needs to focus on, it's how we can communicate with each other respectfully. And I believe that one side is interested in at least having that discussion, and another side is interested in calling names and not having the debate. And we know which sides that is. It's and I
will tell you, in the 80s and 90s, the other side didn't want the debate either.
Yes, well, it's flipped.
The pendulum swings, and I believe the majority of Americans lay in that middle, and that there's a lot more that we agree with than we don't. And heaven knows, if we acted on what we agreed with, we'd probably be in a very different position.
Well, there's money to be made. There's fundraising to be done.
There's power to be gained.
There's power to be gained by dividing people. And we all know, as someone who grew up watching the Flash Gordon serials of the 1930s with Buster Crabbe, and who also loved the Sam Jones version with Ming the Merciless, played by Max von Sydow, Ming's whole thing was he remained in power because he divided the kingdoms of Mongo. You know, the Hawkmen were fighting, Prince Baron, and the Lizard Men were fighting. He just kept them fighting amongst each other. And who was in power pulling the strings? Ming. And that is our current day politics, is you just get people to fight each other, you vilify, and I refuse to sign up for that. I'm not signing up for that. I'm not going to vilify other people. I'm going to look for ways for us to connect and look for ways for us to have a conversation.
There's some amazing commentary about politics in the prequels that no one ever seems to bring up. But Lucas was very insightful about these things even there.
Even then, yeah, and I think it like resonates even more now than when the prequels first came out. Kenny
watch all the Senate scenes in the prequels.
Yeah. For sure. Kenneth Kanthik for $10 says, it actually shocks me that everyone who said they would rage against the machine then joined the machine. Then they joined the machine. Question everything. Keep it up, Film Threat. Thank you for that. And then Turo says, Alan, apologies. I saw that Eastern Bloc documentary where you interviewed the director and producer. It gave me the wrong idea.
That was a fascinating interview.
Well, I think what we do sometimes when we bring on directors is they're our guest. We're the hosts. They're our guest. We want to respect their views, even if they conflict with mine. I've gotten into some discussions. There was the woman who made the documentary that was about environmentalism, and I questioned her and said, I think we have a generation growing up that feels hopeless, that feels lost because they feel as if they don't have a future, and I think that's wrong. I think that is a bad thing to tell young kids that like, oh yeah, by the way, the earth's going to be over in like 20 years anyways. Don't bother having kids. See ya. Like that's a terrible message. Where are our hopeful messages? You know, I grew up with Ronald Reagan, right? Like, and he was very hopeful. And even Bush, the first Bush, you know, 1,000 points of light. A lot of those things are very hopeful messages. And I think what's missing today is optimism and positivity in a very dark time where dark conversations are being had and dark things are happening. Patrick Lemire, Chris and Alan are Gen X. Damn it. I know I'm Gen X. Are you?
I'm Gen X. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Here we go. Geek flag with Nate knows _1973. I'm tired of hearing people say this country is divided down the middle. This country isn't half left or half right because there are a lot more of us common sense people than they are of either of them. I agree. There are more people on the extremes of thinking, and there are way more people in the middle. And all I can say is this: they've lost me. So there you go.
Well, the people with the power and influence are on the extremes. And they're trying to control us in the middle, basically, the majority.
Yeah. NJ Scoundrel said Chris is a classical liberal, which is pretty based. It is based now, but I will say when it comes to raising kids, I'm very conservative on that. So you probably know where I stand on a lot of things. I'm very conservative when it comes to children, how they're treated, what they're exposed to. I was a parent with children in public school. We actually moved to go to a different school district, specifically when my kids were young because of things that I saw that I didn't agree with. And I was a tough dad. Sorry to say. But my kids they're all grown up and they're self-sufficient and they're in their 20s. And that's tough to say. I know a lot of kids in their 20s struggle now. You know what? Hard work. It's just hard work. That's how you do stuff. Random channel for $10. Says, hey, Chris, I heard a complimentary shout out of you on this podcast called Studio 12 with that Star Wars girl and the host. Very cool. They also predicted Kenobi would suck. Oh, really? Yeah, I'm going to see Anna later today. Anna, that Star Wars girl. She messaged me on Twitter. She says, you coming to Star Wars Celebration? I said, begrudgingly, yes, I'll be there. So
it's in her name. She has to go.
She has to go.
Yeah.
The not so smart Fox says, haha, that's precisely how I feel as a 22 guy. It feels like the world is going to end by 2045 with civil racial wars, nuclear apocalypse, and zero natural resources.
The second Civil War.
And also zero good Star Wars. Yeah, there is dark messages being shoved out. I think it's really affecting the health of young kids, not just young kids, but in particular teenagers. Going on social, I don't think, this is how conservative I am. And my kids sort of missed social media. The phones weren't really like where you had it on your phone. Like it was just like Facebook was coming up, but they had like an age limit for it. Oh, sorry. I hit my awards here. But they missed it and I'm glad. But all I can say is this: I don't think any kid under the age of 18 should be using social media. That's what I would do. Yeah. If I was your congressperson in this great state of California, once great state, let me correct myself. I would do everything I could to make sure that no child under the age of 18 had access to social media. There should be an operating system that's for kids that does the basics. It calls your parents. It does this. It does very basic things, but it is basically a phone that locks think of it as an operating system for under 18 and maybe even one for 21 and under. And you kind of earn that, right? And it does things that are helpful for you, but it doesn't give you access to talking to strangers online where you could be bribed, you could be tricked, you could be sending them lurid photos of yourself. This is anything where I see
there's scary stuff on the internet for children.
100%. 100%. For $10, NJ Scoundrel, thank you for your support. This is your second super chat here. Funny how George was talking about warmongering and authoritarian Bush and Cheney in the prequels, and now those political scenes can apply to the left. 100%. It's flipped. Also agree with you on raising kids conservatively. You have to. You have to. I just to tell you a quick story about parenting for a bit, got in a conflict with my then wife, who I saw at 11 p.m. on like a Tuesday night, working on this like Lincoln log cabin with paste sticks. You're supposed to make it. I'm like, what are you doing? It's 11 at night. We gotta go to bed. Like she's making like a Lincoln log cabin. It's like, oh, you know, our daughter had a project that was overdue. She had weeks to do this project and didn't do it. So my then wife was doing it for her. And I said, no, I said, let her fail. Let her go to school. Because when kids tell you they have a stomach ache, it just means that they didn't do their homework. I have a stomach ache. 9 times out of 10, it's I didn't do the thing I said I was supposed to do, like homework, and they don't want to go to school and be confronted with the fact that they failed. And I told her, I said, look, pain, that's how we learn. That's how we learn things. We learn through pain. Something doesn't feel good, let them fail. Let them get, I mean, it's in elementary school. It's a wash. No one cares if you're going to get into a college, you know, what grades you got in elementary school. Let her fail. Let her go into school and feel bad that she didn't do the project. Let her do the project herself. Let her turn it in late. And that's it. And you got to let your kids, and we have a generation of kids where their parents don't have the fortitude to allow their kids to feel some pain, to play in the dirt, to stub their toe, to potentially hurt themselves. We don't just put helmets on their heads. We put, you know, we're the whole body armor for kids. That you got to let them be kids. You've got to let them learn through failure. This is how characters in stories learn. They learn through failure. And this is what we need to allow children to be able to do with restraints, right? And the one thing is also when we would yeah, I see these kids in LA with their parents. The worst parenting in the United States, I can tell you definitively, is in the state of California, because I have witnessed so much bad parenting. We're talking about an adult looking their 4-year-old in the eye and asking, I don't know, what do you want to do? Or fighting with their kid who wants to do something where the adult is like, no, we're going to go, here's what we're going to do. No, I want to do this. Okay. You give in to a kid. You don't give in to children, and you don't give in to terrorists. Okay. I guess that makes me based, but you don't, because you need to give, this is here. I'll tell you everything you need to know about parenting in what would fit in less than a pamphlet. If you tell your kid you're going to do something, do it. Meaning, if they get out of bed and they're trying to avoid going to sleep, you say, if you don't get back in bed, this is the consequence. And then you follow through on the punishment. And so if you do what you say you're going to do, your kids learn like, oh, you know, I know my dad is going to follow through on this punishment, specifically because he said he was going to do that. And my past experience with my father tells me he follows through on punishments. So I know what the consequence is for not going to bed on time, or whatever it is, wherever the boundaries are. Kids need boundaries, but they also need to be kids. And what's happening, this is all I'll say on this because I see it happening, and there are better channels to talk about this than me. What's happening with children in school is unconscionable. What's happening with these teachers is unconscionable. And if I was running any of those schools, I would fire all of those teachers, 100%. And there would be a much more stringent hiring process to get teachers in schools. Looking for teachers, not activists. And I know a little bit about this because my girlfriend happens to be a 4th grade school teacher. And we talk about this stuff. It's not infected her school yet. This mind virus that's being pushed has not. And I'm not even going to say what the words are, because who knows, might get a strike on the channel. I talk around this stuff, and I don't use certain words that people who have a desire to change the way we talk and change our language. You know what I do? I don't use their words. Because we're gonna all speak through this common language, which is common sense, not using your fucking made up bullshit. I was a tough dad, but I was also like the super fun dad too. Yeah, so fun dad. I don't want to look. I was fun. It's fun dad. Also, I think your child should have a healthy fear of their parents. Fear is a good motivator when it comes to raising a child, because fear is like, I don't want to disappoint my parents. And if we had a little bit more of that, we had parents that had a little bit more moral fortitude and just like a backbone, we probably have fewer of the problems that seem to be so rampant. Thank you so much, NJ Scoundrel, for your $10.
I'll just say 2 years ago, I had a long discussion with my daughter to basically tell her to take pride in the fact that she's female. You know.
Yeah. Why are they trying to?
I had to do that.
Yeah, you have to. Wait, are they trying to fill her head with some things?
Oh yeah, well, it's more social media than her school. We're fortunate to be in the district we're in, but
right,
but the internet is a horrible place, and it's like, there are women who have fought over the centuries for her rights and her abilities to be a woman in this country, and she needs to embrace that and take pride in the fact that yes, she is a woman, and and there's great things to come out of that.
All right, we're going to wrap up just all the comments that are here. I'm going to get through them. Thank you, Flaccid Phoenix. Subscribe to his channel. Internet Rec Room says Chris Gore for president. I don't want anything to do with politics. There's way too many stupid things that I've said in the past, whether it's on a podcast or whatever. But I would definitely say, yeah, I could never run for any political office. NJ Scoundrel for another $10. Jeez, NJ. Okay, we love it. All right. I know who to go to if I run for Congress. Look up Eddie Vedder singing Dylan's Masters of War in the 90s. He's clearly singing about Bush Cheney, and now those lyrics clearly apply to the left. You parent just like I do with my 12-year-old. Well, I'm very pleased to be like my kids are like self-sufficient financially speaking. My son is a U.S. Marine. A lot of military people in my family. You got to be tough, and sometimes you got to go. I used to call it, I go into dad mode. I would go into dad mode, and I'd have to my kids would be afraid of me. And if I went into dad mode, I was also super fun to play with my kids and whatever. We played games. I would trick them into eating fruit for dessert was the thing. Fruit, not cake, for dessert every fucking meal. Right? They would have fruit. I'm the captain now. Chris Gore, says Viper Chief 117.
Yeah, Viper Chief is on fire.
Chris is more based than Reagan, says Hank VP. Yeah, I get a little angry about this stuff. Rick C. RLC says it isn't surprising that they're having issues. They can't pull themselves away from their phones. It's like they've lost a leg if you take a phone from a kid now. I need my fix. Yeah. There you go. And here you go. Let's put Flaccid Phoenix. If you like locker room talk about geeky, nerdy stuff, check out Flaccid Phoenix, his channel right there. Go to Flaccid Phoenix's channel. Flaccid Phoenix, also producer on this show. We thank him for that. I cut myself off from social media except for periodic message check-ins and looking at my friends' photos in the last week. The algorithms are designed to harm you, says this guy. 100%. That documentary, The Social Dilemma, that's on Netflix, strongly recommend you check it out. You got to check out that. But yeah, what I do is I just use social media less. Unfortunately, for work, I have to use social media, whether it be for Film Threat or some personal projects. So I do have to work on social media. But for my personal use, I sort of post and ghost. I think that was actually one of my tweets recently. Jeff Brooks, the lack of good parenting is why we have these radicals burning buildings down and crying over everything. Yeah, those are children. Those are children in adult bodies, and fuck them. They need to be treated. They need to be treated like criminals because that's illegal. I don't care what your cause is. It's illegal. Patrick Lemire, people my Chris and Alan age were told as kids that the world would be buried in snow or utterly nuked. So the whole world ending thing is old hat. And sorry, kids, you're not getting bailed out by the end. Yeah, true. Deadhouse, 100% agree, Chris. Kids are being exposed to so much adult content and no one is protecting them. True. Alan's sitting there thinking, oh, another demonetized video.
Yeah, there we go. We worked so hard to get monetized again.
It happens. Zach's based Alan. I would say Alan's pretty based. Geek Flag with Nate Knows _1973. I know exactly what you mean. I don't like using the term racist because there's no such thing as racism because we are all one race, human. Somebody can meet ignorant bigot. Somebody can meet ignorant, bigot, prejudice, but not racist. Yeah, that term racist used to mean something. It doesn't mean anything now.
Yeah, it used to mean people who actually hated other races.
I don't like a Star Wars show. You must be racist. No, I think when you're racist, you say things that are overtly racist and or you use your position to be racist towards someone is specific in life.
Yeah, I mean, we bring up Reva. It's her performance. It has nothing to do with anything else other than that.
Yeah. Nate Winchester, it's baffling because even from a making money perspective, Disney doing My Jedi Academia as Academia as the sequels would have set up a great theme park experience and license to print money. I mean, they blew it on the sequels. CC, if people want optimism, then watch Star Trek, the original series. It's an absolute masterpiece with a diverse cast, and no one cared. No one talked about it. That was my growing up. My dad and I used to watch the original series. We get into these deep philosophical conversations, and we were both like fans of everything that NASA did. More work writers should watch woke. I think you mean woke writers. More woke writers should watch TOS and learn what a good show looks like. And Jeff Brooks, as a Christian, I'm also embarrassed at how Christians have treated gay people, but not all religious right-leaning people are like that. Unfortunately, it was the bad representation from Falwell. I agree. Most religious people I've met, and I'm friends with a lot of people who happen to be religious. My friend Jeremy Kuhn is Mormon, and he made the movie Napoleon Dynamite. He was the producer on Napoleon Dynamite, producer and editor. He's religious, and he's not like most religious people I know are not bigots, and they're not like and there is a discrimination towards people who are religious. That's a Hollywood thing. Hollywood is very discriminatory when it comes to religion. It's really disappointing. So yeah. Anyways, well, I didn't know how we went down that rabbit hole.
I know. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
But Obi-Wan Kenobi, episode 1. We were going to talk about other stuff today, but I don't know.
Yeah, we still haven't talked about Ricky Gervais yet. And
we were going to talk about Ricky Gervais. Let's save it for next week. We got to wrap up. I got to go to Star Wars Celebration. We got work to do. I don't think we're doing our Jedi Council today.
Okay.
We have a weekly meeting at noon on Fridays called Jedi Council. And we meet every Friday with the people from Film Threat. We just kind of talk about like what's going on. And you know what? It's a holiday weekend. Could you post in River that we're canceling it, Alan?
Okay.
Great. Thanks.
I think we should call it Woke Jedi Council from now on.
Yes, we should. But I want to thank you, everyone in the chat, everyone who super chatted. Thank you for your support. Really appreciate all those super chats and just for hanging out and talking with us here on a Friday morning. Really appreciate you. I am Chris Gore. You can follow me at that Chris Gore. We are Film Threat on everything. We live stream every Friday morning at 9 a.m. We also live stream on Wednesdays nights, usually 5 or 6 p.m. We kind of change it depending on if we're seeing a movie. And then we do our show called Hollywood on the Rocks. Join us for our Wednesday late night live stream, our Friday morning live stream, and then we cut up clips and post indie movie trailers on the channel. Alan, anything I forgot? Anything we should add?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, see you at Star Wars Celebration. Alan, take us out.
Let's get out of here.